real. Captain City and crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain City and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going in shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spinor's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebulous out there playing mindfuck games. But Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss. Running tech so slick, you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch. But when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around. Singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up. That gets all the girls and rocks all the world. Smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, slow the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spinor's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebulous out there playing mindfuck games. But Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss. Running tech so slick, you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch. But when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around. Singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up. That gets all the girls and rocks all the world. Smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, slow the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebulous out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Time warps twisting, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss. Running tech so slick, you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch. But when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around. Singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, slow the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain Simeon's crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But that he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebulous out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Time warps twisting, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss. Running tech so slick, you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch. But when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around. Singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, slow the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain Simeon's crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But that he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spy Spine or's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Time warps twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, only universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, slow the fuck out, good, burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spine or's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, only universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, slow the fuck out, good, burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel. No monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. Hey, slow the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spine or's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew, keeping it a buck. the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Time warps twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dante splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula is a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Apes, blow the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel, no monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah he's wired as hell, but he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel, he'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight, he'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dante splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula is a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Apes, blow the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel, no monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah he's wired as hell, but he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel, he'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight, he'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck, Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, blow the fuck out, it's time to ride, going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Time warps twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dante splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, this crew's got the crown. Hey, throw the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel, no monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, this crew's got the crown. Hey, throw the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Shit gets real. Captain City's crew, a pack of steel, no monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dr. Splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch kicking and flicking her staff around, singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up, that gets all the girls and rocks all the world, smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, this crew's got the crown. Hey, throw the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Ha ha. Where shit gets real. Captain Simeon's crew, a pack of steel, no monkeying around, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell, but that he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel, he'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spinor's a badass with sights locked tight, he'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebulous out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Time warps twisted, black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck, they just press their luck. Dante splits is glitching like a goddamn boss, running tech so slick you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula's a bitch, but when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her stuff.
All right.
What are we on today? 20?
21. That's why I was saying we were doing a slight recap on 20, where 20 was uh, a slight shift within the language. Because as we're starting, or as I was pointing out before, Despy pointed out our audio was a little messy. The When we were shifting out of the third bulge within the previous canto, we saw a shift within Dante's writing style slightly. Not enough to where I'd say this is like ghostwritten or edited by somebody or anything like that, but enough where I think his intent was different, where he was trying to give us a not a reprieve, but like a waypoint, so to speak. so like the reader could process everything to that point, where he didn't give us anything dramatically new. He didn't push any huge social commentary or social critique in it, and most of it was not about like Dante's interactions with Virgil. It was Dante's interaction and observation of the particular area of hell around him. So it was much less conversation, much more, to put it, for lack of a better term, and for all the sci-fi nerds in the audience, this was the motherfuckers walking in the little silhouetted background in Lord of the Rings. This was that part where you're getting some story, but like we could have skipped it completely and not lost anything. Where the only thing we would have lost was the sense of like ease that you would get reading it, where that kind of like slows down and you're able to process and kind of like amalgamate everything you've read in the previous 19. God, don't speak all at once, guys.
Listen, well, actually, thunder accentuated your comment there. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't, but the universe is understanding and again giving me backup. Yes.
I need to turn on my air conditioning because it's starting to get cold.
Wait,
It's, remember, he lives in a place where air conditioning refers to all room conditioning as opposed to just cold.
Exactly.
Yep.
which actually
Our
is
system,
the logical definition.
It's
I
the
mean,
real
detecting-
definition. Like, the only place who does this different is our dumbasses here in this country. Like, if you go anywhere else, AC is just the function of having central air or window air. That's it. Like, and my little window units can do heat. Like, I don't do it because they're not great at it, and I have a better central heater. But like the reason I have the window units is I need the backup during summer because summers are getting crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting a window unit just so that I don't have to heat up the whole place just because I want it in one room. Or
No,
whatever.
I wouldn't do the window unit for that. I'd grab yourself one of these little Black and Decker floor heater.
Well, actually, no. I mean, I meant to cool things down.
Oh,
Like, it is true that I kind of want to heat things up sometimes in the winter, but it's not cold enough in Texas for me to really need that to be able to justify it.
well, I
But,
mean, it's not expensive, first of all, but yeah, and I get you. But they do
I
sell.
must have a year.
Well, they do sell
Also, like, I
versions
can-
of this that cool air, because what you can do is there are ways that you can essentially, without any type of refrigerant or anything like that, literally just through certain electrical components, create cold air. Because essentially you're creating an inverse heat plate that will basically dump heat out of the air and then you just blow air over it. So you could technically do this and make cold air, and they do sell them. The only thing is, at least in my opinion, it's not really effective for an entire room. It is really just for blowing on you. Like that just that little bit of extra, hey, or here's a cool breeze to keep you cool. The room's still going to feel warm. And they're usually like $30-$40. They're not expensive.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
If I did not just get canine paralysis jumping into my lap, I would have, God, I would show you. I have a little Honeywell one that I have that's like this, and it can do heat or cold, and it's just a little fan. And would it heat up a whole room if it was small enough? Oh, fuck yeah. Would it cool a whole room if it was small enough? Not a chance in hell. Like, it doesn't work the same way. But if it's blowing right on you, it feels like an AC's blowing in your room until you stand up and get out of the airflow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is it, baby? You hear me talking and you're worried? Or you just want attention? You don't normally jump up like this. Ugh. All right, but getting into 21, like I did not do nearly as much research on this one as I do most of the others because this one you don't really need that. Most of the social commentary that we're going to be dealing with today is fairly self-explanatory. Like it doesn't require a whole lot of like secondary understanding of who the black and white Guelphs are, or who this particular pope was at this time. Where we're going to get more into this is a to whom it may concern as opposed to a specified social commentary.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I will pick up the reading. Oh. From bridge to bridge, thus speaking other things, of which my comedy cares not to sing, we came along and held the summit when he halted to behold another fissure of Malbauge and other vain laments, and I beheld it marvellously dark, as in the arsenal of the Venetians boils in the winter of the tenacious pitch, to smear their unsound vessels over again. For sail they cannot, and instead thereof one makes his vessel new, and one recalks the ribs of that which many a voyage has made. One hammers at the prow, one at the stern, and one makes oars, and that one cordage twists. Another mends the mainsail and the mizzen. Thus not by fire, but by the art divine was boiling below the deck there a dense pitch, which upon every side the bank belied. I saw it, but I did not see within it aught but the bubbles that boiling raised, and all swelled up and resubsided compressed. Okay, so, like, the reason I'll stop here is because this is a pretty... If you're not used to being around boats, we're going to need a little bit of explanation about everything you're seeing here. This is discussing a version of a Roman trireme. It's pretty much the way this is the only way you could describe this, because of the particular things that he's talking about on the boat. So essentially what you're meant to be picturing here is a boat that's meant for 50 men being rebuilt by 4 because of the wear and tear over it, because these triremes were everything from ships of war to ships of trade. It was just a very particular style of construction that he's pointing to here. And what he's describing here is that a almost like hellish speed, very literally in this case, that these people are operating in such a way that they are repairing this boat to where it's actually causing the roiling of the water around it. I don't know if you've ever been around a boat and swung a fucking hammer, but it doesn't exactly wring that water up too much unless you're going like crazy. And there's a bunch of you. And it's only describing one at each point. And one dude's making cordage. That doesn't do anything to broil up water or air or anything like that. That's some dude twisting shit in the corner and then braiding it. Mm-hmm. This is a very almost Looney Tunes vision that he's being describing here. Now to us, we find it funny. To them, this is like fucking insane. Like, they didn't have the idea of time lapse. So to him, this is him trying to describe something that's very unnatural, very alacritive of movement in a way that's unnatural. I think that's valuable because the simple fact is, we forget now, because of the things we can create within the visual mediums of like TV and even like going back to the 1920s and shit. We don't even talk modern CGI. some of the things that would have been more unnerving to somebody in the 1300s is something we laugh at and put in cartoons now. So, like, what he's trying to do here is make the reader extremely uncomfortable, trying to envision these four men running around like fucking quicklings, rebuilding the ship.
Right. And to us, it's Goofy, Donald, and Mickey rebuilding a ship.
Or Tom and Jerry, or the Animaniac, take your pick. Like, they've done this trope so many times. Shit, the only one that we can't say this of is Marvin the Martian, and that's because it wouldn't have been a trireme, it would have been a spaceship.
Yep.
Yeah. One little piece falls out and you're dead anyway, so... Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point to Marvin, is he's incredibly genius, but not precise. You could have all these great ideas and come up with all the grand theories, but if your manufacturing precision is shit, well, we all saw how many times he blew himself up.
Better scientist than he is an engineer?
Essentially, yeah, that is Marvin the Martian's great curse. Is he was a phenomenal designer. So technically, he was a phenomenal engineer. He was a horrible material engineer or mechanical engineer because he could never actually put it all together himself and keep it working. And unfortunately for him, the persons that he relied on to help him keep his machines running, well, we don't need to talk about the particular overtones that were there that are problematic for the writer's point, but they weren't exactly the brightest crayons in the box helping good old Marvin. Yeah, we need not go into WB and Disney and all their crazy fucked up shit they allowed in cartoons back in the day.
Thank God.
Now that being said, the reason I think that this matters is because we just went from, as I was saying, the last one was very much the Fellowship walking silhouetted against the background to epic music type Canto. It was kind of a reprieve from everything that we had gotten in the previous 19, where he had went from entering hell and in about 20,000 words, was in some of the deepest pits of hell, having put popes in hell, having put friends in hell, having put enemies in hell, having put fucking people that he loves and respects as mental, and like intellectual giants in hell. Like, he has literally put you through the ringer, and now he's starting it up all over again. Like, he gave you that 1 second, and I think that's very telling that he starts off this way of no, right back into it, buddy. You thought your intermission was going to continue. No, we're still going. We got more to tell.
All right.
And I'm speaking about this slightly hyperbolically in a way that I haven't done in previous weeks, because honestly, like, we're at the point where I think Dante was kind of having a little bit of fun with his readers. I think this was intentional. I think this was I have nothing to back this up other than it's kind of a unique canto in the Inferno. And that's more supposition than an evidence. But like, it really feels like that's what it was. This was him having a little bit of fun of, yeah, you thought you could relax, and back into the fire you go. Well, to be more accurate, to the ice. Huh?
That happens a lot now. There's a lot of scenes like that where they get a slight bit of relief, but that's only because it makes the torture worse.
Well, yeah, but you're talking about the denizens of hell, where that's what he's observing. This is what he's done to the reader at this point, is he gave him that slight reprieve and is now doing that. But he's only doing that by making everything so unreal again. He's making you have to, for lack of a better way of putting it, make your brain actually kick into gear again after you just kicked your feet off or kicked your shoes off and relaxed with your Heineken, your Corona, take your pick. Like essentially you just sat down and he ran in and said, "Fire, fire, get the fuck out here and help." It's jarring to the reader, in my opinion. It's just not as jarring to us because we have mediums that make this look like, as I was pointing out, like cartoon shows in comparative. You have to get much more cerebral to get this style of jarringness today. But in the 1300s, so the 14th century, nobody did this. Like, you don't really see this until, like, the peak of the Renaissance again. Like, name another author who does this, Rich, because I can't name one until we get into almost the 1500s.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, Shakespeare sometimes does too. But
Well, and he's late 1500s, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, it is. This is not done by anyone in Europe at this time. At least, let me rephrase that, because I do have to be fair. Anyone in Europe that we have their writings surviving to this day and are popular enough to where even us nerds know it. Like, I can't think of another writer who does this. There's a few writers when you go back into like medieval poetry and medieval fiction who do this, but good luck reading those unless you're educated on fucking Old English. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, not me. I tried it once. It wasn't for me.
I can
And I took 4 years
understand.
degree.
Yeah, I can understand Old English to a point. I don't find it enjoyable. Middle
Old or
English,
middle.
old. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you have to go back almost another 2 centuries before Dante into like 1000 and 1100 before you find other
Yeah.
authors who are doing this, and almost 200 years after him before authors are doing it again. And most of his contemporaries, or at least, as I said, the ones that writings that have survived it enough to where we would know of it, did it either. There's a small little burst of it right after he releases his works, where there's a few authors who you can kind of see it in a few other poems, but not really in like grand works like this. Like, they were much shorter poems. They weren't epics like the Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know why he does it, other than, like, I can understand the psychological influence it would have on his people. But, it does seem rather unique to him in this time period. At least in anything I know of. Unless you know of something like Asian culture or, like, Middle Eastern culture that fucking does this shit at this time period. I can't think of anything else.
I'm trying to think, because then this would have to be like pre-Edo period. This is also has to be like pre what is it, Qing dynasty as well, where I mean, you might be able to find something similar to this, like maybe when talking about like the fantastic in the Tang dynasty, but even then, it probably wouldn't be written in the same way. Let's just put it that way.
No. And like,
But you would,
and you can
would
get some of
in,
this.
like, the Qing dynasty, though.
Well, and you can get some of this in like the high rhetorics of like the Islamic courts and stuff, talking about their folklore of the Islamic mystics, because at 11 to 1300s, we're talking about this is a time period when most of Islam still believed in jinns as like a real like supernatural entity in the world, etc. Like, because this is so close to the formation of their entire religion. Like, there's a lot that's going into this, but they're not talking about it in the same way, even there, because when they throw you in the fire there, they never fucking take you out. They don't give you any reprieve. There is no, oh shit, it's hitting us again. They don't think of it that way. They just say, oh no, we're just going to turn it up again next time. We don't give you a reprieve. We just hit the next notch on the dial that has an infinite number of notches to it.
Right.
And at least from what I remember, Now, I don't remember much about Asian like writing at this time. I know a bit about folklore, but not like just individual authors and stuff like that. I don't remember them doing it this way either. They usually kind of followed the Middle Eastern style, where it was, no, we're just going to give you absolute psychological horror from beginning to end, ramping up from the beginning, but it doesn't start off easy.
Right.
So like I said, it's a unique thing in this time period, and as Rich pointed out, by the time we get to Shakespeare, it then becomes very prevalent because now we're getting into the point where we have the stereoscopes and a few things where the concept of moving images is not and like uncanny moving images is something that's alien to them. They have actually already like tried to manipulate their way into like what we would call motion picture today by the stereo optozoom, whatever the hell those things were called, little spinning things that would make shit look like it's moving. You remember the things I'm talking about now. I just can't remember the name of it. Where these kind of like unreal movements, these kind of unreal juxtapositions of human influence within their environment was used again, and it wasn't as jarring then, it was then novelty. Whereas here I think he was trying to go for psychological horror of what the fuck is that? Why are they moving like that? What am I seeing? Because nobody does this for 2 centuries before him. And the ones who did it before him did it in a language that was almost unreachable to anyone in Europe outside of fucking Anglo-Saxons. Like, most people would not have been able to read that shit.
Yeah.
Can you go outside again, maybe? Okay, well, I'll let you guys... I'm going to have to move this here in a second. Rich, if you would pick up the reading, we are on line 22, because you can do it in the spreadsheet, and because I think I have to take her out again. So I'm going to have to walk away while you're reading.
To what?
I'm scrolling down. Let's just find out. Looks like... I think it's 45, but my numbers got misaligned, so I'm not positive. The last one is no into yes, is the first 3 words. I think it's 45.
I don't see no into yes, but
No into yes for money there is changed.
Oh, maybe I'm not looking at the right thing then. This was Canto 21, right? Yeah.
Yep.
45. I have 45 is in so much hurry to pursue a thief.
Second. Just to be sure. Make
But
sure
maybe
I
I
didn't
pasted
cut.
wrong.
Well, I'm making sure I didn't either, just to be sure. Dante.
What line did you say to start at?
22. Yeah, no, I'm looking at it in the Longfellow. It's in here too. Yeah, I didn't cut it wrong.
So is 22 the while
No,
below the I gazed?
22 is, yeah. And then it goes,
Okay,
and then it goes,
45 is,
and I think it's 45. If not, it's 42. But it then goes on to no into yes for the money there is change. Come on, baby.
oh yeah, that is 42. Okay, so we're going to 42. Okay. Bigger. The wild below there fixedly I gazed, my leader crying out, "Beware, beware," drew me into himself from where I stood. Then I turned around as one who is impatient to see what it behooves to escape, and whom a sudden terror doth unman, who, while he looks, delays not his departure, and I beheld his black devil running along the crag approach. Ah, how ferocious he was in aspect, and how he seemed to me in action ruthless, with open wings and light upon his feet, his shoulders which, sharp pointed, were high. A sinner did encumber both haunches, and he had held clutched his sinews of the feet. From off our bridge he said, O Malebranche, behold one of the sisters of Saint Zita. Plug him beneath, for I return for others. Unto that town which is well furnished with them, all of the all there or barators, except Bonturo. No into yes, for money there is changed.
Wasn't that plunge him beneath?
What did I say?
Plung. I thought I could have sworn he'd just
Oh,
say plung him.
maybe I did say that. Yeah, no, it's plunge. Plunge it beneath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the way I read this one is essentially we're getting like the cliff edge, and he's trying to give you that juxtaposition of the unreal, like unsafe of being near a cliff edge, while he's introducing this particular character, or this particular person. The point that, at least in my mind, I question about this is why, in this way, where there's a particular wording in this, and I checked the Italian just. I wish Incom was here because he could explain it better. But the way this is worded, everybody kind of is doing a bit of like interpolation here, in my opinion, because the Latin, the Italian that this is based on, his shoulders, which sharp pointed were and high, it seems to be a phrasing that has a double entendre to it that I think may have been lost to time, because it seems to be emphasized within the Italian, but it's not emphasized in any of the English translations, and I think that's a valuable thing to point out. I think this is either some type of either bigotry, unjustified or justified. Would have to know the context. I don't know. Or just baseline prejudice here that he's trying to give by some kind of social comment that, at least the only person I found that comments on it at all is Chiardi, and he just says it's worded very problematically, and that it is extremely hard to translate from Latin to English at this point. Like, Chiardi isn't even at that point talking about Dante, he's literally just talking about the difficulty in translating it in his notes.
Oh, I thought for a minute, I just looked it up. I thought for a minute that the barators were that was like a pun for like lawyers, right? Like barristers in England, because the Italian word is baratier, whatever. So it did seem similar, but apparently no. The word for lawyer in Italian is nothing like that. It's closer to avocado.
I mean, fair
A
enough.
little Daredevil joke there. Since Daredevil's back,
Yes. Yes.
avocados law.
And it looks at like, say that again.
Avocados at Law from season 1.
Yeah, I remember. I don't
One
know.
thing I was gonna say is Saint Zita is the patron saint of like domestic workers, like housekeepers.
Okay.
So it seems really interesting in here. It's like, oh, Malebranche, behold one of the elders of Saint Zita.
Well, but if I, and I'd have to Google this to be sure, because I didn't think about that, because I had made the assumption that this was Saint Zita's Abbey, which would then put it as this is a church elder, as opposed to who the patron saints who their abbey is named after. I had the feeling that it was a specific person within the Abbey of Saint Zita.
What also? It's the patron saint of Lucca, and the elder is at Lucca. According, this is a footnote
Mm-hmm.
uh, from Musa. Is
Okay.
that the local government officials? One of them was being referred to here as ironically guiltless, when in reality he was the worst barator of all in that town. So like, that's why they're referring to Saint Zita, because it was that town's saint.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, slight difference. It's the town saint as opposed to the abbey saint, but same idea. It's still a
Right.
leader as opposed
Well, I'm
to.
sure there's an abbey in that town. I'm sure it's all
Well,
connected.
I don't remember where the Abbey of Saint Zita is located. I just because of the word, I didn't look any deeper. I was just like, oh, they're talking about an elder of Saint Zita. Okay, whatever. Because like
Right.
there's like 5 different abbeys of Saint Zita in Europe.
Right.
um. Now that being said, um, he's the worst barator. Okay, that's interesting. I wish I had looked a little further into it now because of that. Because like that is an interesting way to like do it because if he is the worst one within the town, it is a juxtaposition of Dante is instead of gone from putting unexpected people within the regions of hell, he is now, I don't want to say predictable, but like none of these are shocking anymore. Like that's been like 3 cantos where pretty much everybody that he's put in hell, like none of us would have even questioned it. And I doubt most of the people in the 1300s, beyond like the scandal of saying it in the first place, would have questioned it based on the actions of those individuals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just it's an interesting thing that to think about. Like I don't know why he's doing it. It's something that I'd be interested. Yeah, it's one of those things I wish we had the time machine to go back and be like, "Hey, asshole, why the hell did you do it this way?" Because we'll never know. Like we can barely get that out of modern authors as it is.
Unless Virgil comes and gets us for a tour.
Yeah, if that's what's happening, we're in for some shit because all of us are stuck at that point. Because I'm gonna have some words with God before we ever get to Paradiso, and He might just leave us wherever the hell I decide to start talking.
I think I would do some listening first before I started talking.
Yes, because you still.
Might eventually start talking, but I kind of want to,
Yes, I
hear some
know.
stuff.
You still like the asshole up there. I don't. That's the difference. I already have had that kind of like feeling of I'd want to hear his answers because there's got to be some justification for these things because he has this infinite divine knowledge. Obviously he'd be able to at that point be able to explain why he had to do it in this way, and now I know that's bullshit, and there is no explanation for an omni god or any of it other than he's a dick and he has some shit to answer for. Like I'm going to create humans and I'm going to not teach them the things about right and wrong or how anything is good or evil. Then I'm going to tell them this thing teaches them about good or evil, but they can't eat from it because if they eat from it, they can't eat from this other tree that's going to make them immortal, because if they have both of those things, they're equal to me, so that when these things that don't know right from wrong do something that I deem wrong, I'm not only going to punish them, I'm going to punish their entire descendancy for the rest of eternity with the concept of original sin. No, God's a fucking prick, and there is no justification for the argumentation of how he created this universe. He created it in an unjust way. So either he is not omnipotent, or He is, meaning this is the only way the universe could be created in the first place, or he is omnipotent and he's a cunt. Either way, he can go fuck himself.
Yeah, but you already gave the answer to that.
Which
when
is
you were
what?
talking when you were justifying your own
No,
philosophy on
but
all gods.
no. If he couldn't have been any other way, then literally all of the things that he claims, all of the justification as to why he is the creator, etc., becomes a lie. It becomes the entire doctrine of faith, the entire reason for the existence of the God Yahweh and his supposed son Jesus becomes nothing but a lie because he didn't create anything. He is just a product of the universe like anything else. He just wants to control at that point.
Yeah, but you already gave an answer to that,
Which is what?
which was that in your justification for why you believe what you do, like with about all of the gods existing, that we just get the interpretation wrong. So everything that you're going to condemn him on is on an interpretation that's already incorrect, that you already believe to be incorrect.
No. Because what you misunderstand about that is that when I say that I believe that these gods exist within a certain way, that the humans get the interpretation wrong, that is me applying the concept of Clarke's third law retroactively throughout time, that these people were people, not gods. They were people who use these lies, these myths around themselves to create bigger things, to control those around them, and it later got legendized into their divinity. These would have been the warlords that abused the people around them, that years and years later, long after they're gone, the legend gets built. How we get the legends of people like Edward the Longshanks being a benevolent king to the people within England, when in reality he was quite literally one of the worst fucking atrocious leaders in the history of that small island.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So what if he, after your big diatribe about how he's wrong about everything, he says, "Yeah, I didn't say any of that stuff."
Then at that point he didn't do anything about the people that were killing in his name and destroying the people in his name, and therefore he's a prick still.
Yeah, but well, hold on. But if you can be wrong about that, isn't it possible that you're wrong
No,
about something else? I mean,
no,
I
because the
would
thing
want to
is
hear
it doesn't
explanation.
matter what point that he I'm wrong on. It doesn't matter which point he chose to go down this road. When it comes right down to it, the world that he created is unjust by the own admissions of the scriptures, if they're right. He created a world where more people are going to burn in hell
Yeah,
than
but
can
I
ever
just
be
told you, like in
saved.
that scenario,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
told you that they're not right.
And at that point, then he has created a world and allowed these creations to go rampant and kill and murder and abuse and fucking and cause irreparable damage across centuries, millennia of this existence, and done nothing about it. That makes him an apathetic prick that deserves no fucking praise or worship either. He still
Wait,
has shit to answer for.
here's where I think you're a perfect match then for the God of Job, at least, because you don't want to hear the explanation, and
No,
he
no,
doesn't
I've
want to
thought of
offer.
all of them. No, I've thought of all of the possible explanations, and there is
Okay,
not a
so then
single
that's
one that
really
is
the big
just.
difference. That's the really the big difference is I don't assume that I've thought of all of them. Like I assume that there's something that I assume that it's at least possible that there's something I don't know,
I know because you believe in logically impossible things.
or I believe that I'm not omniscient. I
I'm
just
not.
believe I'm not omniscient.
And my point is either he is not an omni god. He's not the omnimax god because
Yeah, yeah,
obviously you can't truly be
that's
omnipotent
another
because
possibility. Yeah,
yeah, either he is not an omni god, in which case he has literally allowed this religion to go rampant when he had the power to step
I'll
in
be
and do
right back.
something about it, or
well, hold on.
he
He's
isn't,
not omniscient.
or he isn't. No, because that's just stepping in and talking to the people. He's the god of divine fucking hiddenness, Rich. He doesn't do that.
Aristotle's God is one that's not even aware of us.
Yes, because Aristotle was trying to come up with an explanation for the cruel and indifferent world, and Aristotle is essentially a precursor to Spinoza, which means Aristotle was a fucking atheist.
Spinoza, by the way, one of those long-haired guys that Kirk read about.
Yeah, I mean,
One of those long-haired freaks that you read, Jim.
you're not wrong. But at the same time, like this is something that is wildly misunderstood because if you were talking about the concept of the completely innocuous, the completely deistic God of create and walk away, you're not actually in control of anything, you're not responsible for anything, etc. Everything around the religion is still his fault by the fact that he allowed it to happen. His apathy allows it to happen.
One of the explanations of the Aristotelian God that I remember hearing, like from my professor or whatever, he was like, imagine if
I swear I might have to take a trip to Baylor just to debate some of these professors.
well, this is at UD, but yeah, imagine
same difference.
Yeah, well, no, big difference between a Baptist and a Catholic. But anyway, although I wouldn't say that all the professors at Baylor are actually Baptist. But no, he would just say, imagine if one of your red blood cells, towards the end of its life, like gained sentience and then grew up and then got angry at you for not taking care of it. You would give some defense for yourself, wouldn't you? Like,
no, I wouldn't. Not at that.
You give a perfect life to all of your red blood cells.
No, because I do not require justification if I have done a bad action, an ineffective action, or a destructive action. I can admit that. Whereas God, if the scriptures and his followers are to be believed, can never do wrong because anything God does is moral.
Yeah, but that's an if that you don't accept.
No, it's an if we know that the scriptures are bullshit as far as that goes. That is not to say that there is no God that exists. It is to know that we know that many of these things are forgeries. We know that half of fucking Mark is almost a direct goddamn plagiarism from goddamn fucking Homer. We know that Luke is that. Really? Yeah, go ahead and look at it again.
That would be awesome.
Depends on how you look at it. Yes, because of the Homer connection. No, because when we factor in that the Gospels aren't written by the people that they say wrote them, and we factor in that the Synoptic Gospels are almost entirely plagiarizing one another.
I mean, keep in mind, I had to translate it. That was part of my,
Yeah.
And I never got the sense that Mark knew that much about classical antiquity. Now, Paul, of course, right? Because he's Greek. I can absolutely see that.
Well, you're assuming Mark, that he read Homer. I'm not assuming that. What I'm assuming that is he read something that was written by somebody who read Homer. Or heard something that was spoken by somebody who read Homer. It would almost
certainly have been in Aramaic, right? Because Mark's Greek was terrible.
But that's one of the reasons why they can pinpoint this out, because this is where his Greek is perfect.
I would be up all night fucking trying to translate something, couldn't get it right. And then the next day I'd be going into class and I'd be like, I don't understand. Oh, he's like, oh yeah, that was just a bad grammar.
Well,
that was just an error.
And to a point, I get that, but no, and I get you. And to a point, I'm being slightly hyperbolic with his Greek is perfect, but there is significant portions of Mark where some of it's damn near illiterate, which makes sense if we're going by Mark being a fucking fisherman.
Right.
And other parts of it that were extremely, extremely literate that also just happened to appear almost verbatim within Homer. Like, he changed some names. in certain parts, but like certain parts of it like line up to Homer perfectly.
That would be actually a really cool annotation for Mark. Would be to,
The church does not accept this. Most New Testament scholars now do.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying. I mean, so somebody should do an annotation. I'd love to read that.
I forget the guy's name. There's somebody who wrote a book about it. I'd have to go find the book now, but he wrote an entire book about this.
I mean, I'd be fine with the book, but would be more fun would be the annotation.
But we could use the book to do the annotation and like suggest it to somebody. Was my point. Because I didn't do this fucking research. I just know somebody else fucking did it. And then I looked at it side by side, and then I was like, hold on, maybe he's fudging it. And I pulled up my eSword and started comparing it side by side with the Greek I have in there. And I'm like, oh no, it's he's right.
Well, I don't doubt it, because the region had been Hellenized, because of Alexander, and I can absolutely see that being a literary influence on stuff that was written in those days.
Absolutely. Well, and on top of that, we know of the Hellenistic influences within rabbinic culture before this, so on. So, like, yeah, like we could trace that history back long before the advent of Christianity.
What's the name of the book?
I'd have to, like I said, I have to find the name of the book again, because I didn't read the book. I found a section that the guy's talking about it and blurbs, and I was like, nah, this can't be real. And then I started comparing it, and I'm like, this is fucking real. Okay. I'm like, that works. What was his name? I'd have to find it again, and I'll look it up after, so that I'm not digging through shit while we're streaming. He also wrote a bunch on the other the Gospels, more specifically Luke. I just can't remember his name. I want to say Calvin, but that's not right. The author's not somebody I read a bunch. Somebody else mentioned and showed me clips of stuff.
Yeah, that would be seriously cool if that were the case, because that would actually have made it a lot easier for me in college, because I was translating the previous semester. I was translating Homer. Homeric Greek is very different from Koine, by the way.
For obvious reasons as well.
I mean, the coolest part is the tenses. You had singular, plural, and dual. You had 3 tenses, or not tenses, but numbers. So it would be a different word ending if there were only 2 people than if there were multiple people. And it was because of all of the constant battles, right? People are being paired up to each other, and so it kind of makes sense.
I mean, yes and no, but it's also you have the differences of the concept of the group being a unique entity that is comprised of individuals but functions with like the Greeks were well ahead of their time on some of this stuff, because the reason that they did this, at least from what I was taught, I guess this could be wrong, but it was because they viewed a group of people as a cohesive, singular, unique entity, even though it was made up of unique individuals, because the group functions different than individuals do.
When I was a freshman, I wrote a paper on why there was so much chiasmus in Homer, or at least in the Iliad. And I argued that it was because of their retributive sense of justice. You throw a spear at me, I throw a spear at you, like that kind of thing. And it turns out that, at least my professor said, that was a new concept, like that nobody had ever written a paper on that before.
I mean, I've never read a paper that says that specifically. I've never read a paper that said that specifically, but I mean, it tracks with what I know of their history.
Yeah. Anyway, it was fun. He was like, wow. He wasn't. He didn't usually get freshman comp papers that made those kind of arguments.
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, because let's be fair. While there are some good religious schools, most religious schools are not, and there's a certain um, vacuum within their educational ability, even of most professors at those schools. Um, I would not be shocked if somebody else had suggested it before you did. For like, I mean, just because like that just makes sense with everything we know of Greek culture. Especially when you start talking Hellenistic Greek, culture, like it gets even more so. Um, but at a religious school, they don't view things in the same way. They actually
Well,
will
he
cut.
wasn't comparing it to other freshman comp papers. He was trying to find something in like journals to see if anyone had ever published an article, and no one had, which is why he submitted it for publication on my behalf.
When did it get published?
It did, but now I don't remember where it was. I've looked for it a couple times. I remember seeing it at the time, but I was so busy with other things I never really paid that much attention. Then later on, I was like, oh man, it was some small publication somewhere. I don't know, like classical.
Yeah, it's like when somebody asks me if I'm published, I'm like, technically, it's a fucking
Yeah, it's one of
newspaper.
those
It's a
like
newspaper up in Michigan when I was like 12.
it's not like it was, yeah, it wasn't like an Oxford journal or something. It was just, but still, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I wrote for, I forget the name of the paper now, but there was a newspaper, it was like Three Bears Press or something like this, up in Michigan, and I wrote something for that a couple times. And I'm like, it's like technically I'm published. It doesn't really count, but technically,
Right.
I wrote for a few travel magazines. Does that make me published?
I mean, the difference is yes, because if I were to search your name and do a little digging within like keyword searches, you might be sourced in it. I guarantee goddamn to you, nobody digitized this fucking little fucking paper. Like, I guarantee you that shit did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me rephrase that. If it did, it's a digitization of some microfiche somewhere that somebody forgot on a hard drive and it's sitting in a landfill somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, Despy, would you like to pick up the reading?
Sure.
Oh, my numbers are all messed up. If that ended at 42, I mean, you'll be starting at 43. Hate when the numbers get messed up like this. The only downside to Miro, it's really good for a free service. But, like, even if I cut things at the exact same resolution, sometimes even using, like, an actual, like, typed number cut, it doesn't always size things correctly to keep, like, things lined up like this. It's really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's far enough for now. Oh, it looks like we're gonna
Just see the word that stabbing is gonna turn up soon, and I thought, oh man, Stabby should be here for the read that one.
Yeah, I miss Stabby. She hasn't talked to me ever since she kind of stopped talking to Ty.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've seen her online in any context. So.
She used to like her and I used to DM, and like it'd be a couple weeks between responses and stuff like that. But like I haven't heard from her in ages now. I think whatever happened with her and Ty is kind of like she's like, you know what, or to just fuck that whole server.
Maybe.
Like I have nothing to go on based on that. A lot of people that I know from that server has just completely lost touch with her since then.
Yeah.
But then people like Ginger tell me they've heard from her recently, so I don't know.
Sure.
Ugh. It just sucks, because Stabby was cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
it looks like 43 to... 69. So, yeah, you get to go to the nice number.
43 to 69.
Yep. I'll scroll down as you need, unless you're looking in the other one.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see here. He hurled him down and over the hard crag, turned round and never was a mastiff loosened. Sorry, I'm going to move this real quick. In so much hurry to pursue a thief, the other sank and rose again face downward. But the demon under cover of the bridge cried, "Here the Santo Volto has no place. Here swims one otherwise than in Sergio. Therefore, if our gaps thou wishest not, do not uplift thyself above the pitch." They seize him then with more than 100 rakes. They said, "It here behooves thee to dance covered, that if thou canst, thou secretly mayest pilfer. Not otherwise the cooks, their scullions, make immerse into the middle of the cauldron the meat with hooks, so that it may not float."
For reference, scullion is what we would call a kitchen assistant today, just so you know.
Okay. Said the good master to me, that it be not apparent thou art here. Crouch thyself down behind a jag, that thou mayest have some screen. And for no outrage that is done to me, be thou afraid, because these things I know. For once before was I in such a scuffle. Then he passed on beyond the bridge's head, and as upon the 6th bank he arrived, need was from him to have a steadfast front. With the same fury and the same uproar, as dogs leapt out onto the mendicant, who on a sudden begs where he stops.
So, scullions is unfortunately the misogynistic term by today's standards, but really it applied to anybody, just happened to be mostly women back in the day, so like it ended up being turned into a derogatory word for women who work in a kitchen, more specifically low-end kitchens.
Yeah.
It's why we don't really hear that word anymore.
I've never really thought of that word as particularly derogatory, but
if you go back to the 1950s, it's pretty much was considered a slur through most of Europe.
oh, all right.
Yeah, it's one of those things that basically it was like calling somebody a fucking peasant. It's like, technically this could just be a descriptor. Usually if you're using it to refer to somebody, it's not.
Well, I mean, I always thought it was kind of a slur, but I just didn't think it was all that. I thought it was pretty mild, put it that way.
Oh, it's very mild by today's standards, because we basically chased it into the annals of antiquity. But like my grandmother, if I would have called her a scullion, I'd have got smacked the shit out of. She'd have beat me with her shoe until I was black and blue.
Right.
Like that's not even something you could have joked about with somebody in my grandmother's age group, at least not around us.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's just not one that I heard a lot.
No, that could be because. Go ahead.
As a chef, I guess you would have more cause to be exposed to that word.
Would that be like the equivalent to calling someone a burger flipper today?
Probably, but a little bit more like gendered. Like, because
Right.
like you wouldn't have referred to male as a scullery maid or a scullion by the 1950s. But yeah, even though technically it was a non-gendered term back in the fucking 1100s,
Right.
because everybody worked in the fucking kitchen at that point. It wasn't a highly like sexed profession up until like 13 or 1400s. That's when that started to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't so much the chef, it was that both my grandparents on my mother's side and my father's side were first generation. That's really what it comes down to. Both of them remember Europe, so that some of the old issues would have come from there, probably more than what we would have had necessarily in America. It's just because like it's one of those things where it's weird because I don't feel like, you know, my father would be considered, because technically his dad was an immigrant. My grandmother was first generation. My dad's dad was an immigrant. I don't think of my dad as first generation like immigrant though, like first generation American, because it doesn't follow the same metric, and I think that comes from like the span of my grandfather being born in 1898.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the difference of the way things happened are just so different. Because of that, because like I think my grandfather was like 40 something when he had my dad. Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, it's interesting, but like I look at it. And I now, as an older person, can look back and go like, yeah, some of this was they pulled shit from Europe. Other shit was they're just a lot older than I'm used to, like, one generation back being. Like, most people, like, even your age, you're my age, Rich. How many people do you know whose grandfather was born 2 centuries ago now, essentially? Like, they're born in the 19th century.
Right, yeah. Well, it was the same thing with my grandparents, yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, it wasn't many of us that had that.
Yeah.
So it was just weird. And I think that's probably why I got it with my grandmother so much, because there were certain words I'm not gonna, no, fuck it, it's a word, and I'm not monetized, doesn't matter. Like, I could say cunt around my grandmother, because she grew up in England.
Right.
I could not say that around anyone else in America without getting hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not after the rise of feminism in the 60s, at least.
Well, considering I was born at the end of the 60s, I didn't get any of the benefit.
Right.
I just got the beatings.
Right.
Yeah, I like
the beatings shall continue until morale improves.
yes. I see that boat was ran on by an Irish mother. Oh. But no, it's just it's an interesting thing, and we're going off far on a tangent for those of you who are watching. Like, go ahead and scroll forward until you see the words move on the screen again. Because essentially what this is it is an odd thing that we're looking so far back. We do have to put some of this into context. For Dante, this word would have been as common as calling somebody a chef or a sous chef, because it was just the title of the word, or a title of the job. It had nothing to do with being derogatory. Like, you would have called a person a scullion in the kitchens of a king, or a fucking kitchens of an inn that was covered in fleas. It would have been the same exact word. Whereas we kind of trip over it because let's be honest, scullions hasn't been used primarily for the name of that job, like legitimately, since like the 1800s. It hasn't been used even in a highly derogatory way, probably since the 60s. You know, like, I haven't seen that word outside of like period books in fucking ages.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you tripped over it, I was like, yeah, scullions, yeah, you got it right. It's like it's not some fucking weird French thing. No, that's the fucking word. Because it is odd. It's almost like, you know, saying sommelier. Unless you work at a restaurant, most people don't know what the fuck a sommelier is, or you're a pretentious wine snob. Like, most people are not going to know that word. It's an antiquated word.
Either that, or someone's saying they're mispronouncing somebody from Somalia.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, like, I had to explain this to somebody the other day. It's a brief tangent before we get back to the reading. Because it was they did not know what a maitre d' was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
not even sure I know what a maitre d' is.
Maitre d' is essentially a restaurant manager. They are the bridge between front of house and back of house and customer.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about now.
But the name nowadays, we just call that a host, or we call that a manager.
Yeah.
You know, maitre d' is a very antiquated word from the French brigade system of running kitchens and restaurants. It is
right.
Like, most people who think of it now, they think of the stuff from the 1980s, and they're thinking of like movies like Big, where the maitre d's standing there with a fucking towel over his arm, throwing dough balls into their mouths, which isn't what a maitre d' would have done. Like, they're thinking about stuff that we've made like jokes about at this point because the word is so antiquated. So as I'm explaining it to them, they're like, "Wait, that's just a manager." I'm like, "No, it does more than that, because this guy does the ordering. This guy does hiring and firing outside of like specific like kitchen positions. This guy is the guy who's going to handle every vendor, every customer, etc. Like, this is the guy who handles fucking everything." And they're like, "That's a manager." You've obviously never worked in a restaurant. You go tell me a manager that does that shit today.
Right.
Because this is an outdated, and I wouldn't say obsolete, but unfortunately antiquated position that we just don't do anymore. They don't find a justification for paying somebody, usually a lot of fucking money, because maitre d' is second only to head chef in pay. Yep. Like, usually a lot of fucking money, because they don't understand the value of it. They've never seen it. It's like, Rich, when was the last time you were in a restaurant with a maitre d'? Probably in your 20s.
Or
Or the last time you were in Europe, whenever that was.
I was wondering if more of like a maitre d' is like responsibility is more also, as well as like keeping patrons, like making sure that there's a camaraderie between your regular customers and somebody that works at the location itself, rather than just wait staff.
Oh yeah. Let's just put it this way: Jean Philippe, which was a maitre d' that worked for Adria. Jean Philippe was more famous than Fer and Adria anywhere around the restaurant. Now, worldwide, Fer and Adria was the one well known. He was the one that's written about in magazines. There was not a single person in fucking Spain or France who did not know Jean Philippe. Like, that motherfucker knew every vendor, every launderer, every fucking trucking company. It's like, he knew fucking everyone, and everyone knew him. Yeah, absolutely. It's not just camaraderie, it's connection. Like, that's the job of a maitre d', and we don't do that anymore. Not here. That hurts the bottom line here. Line must go up. Can't spend $50,000 a year on somebody who actually does their fucking job. It's something I get bitter about, because America is really fucking up certain things about the restaurant industry, and because we are one of the biggest consumers within that industry because we are one of the most like prolific superfluous spenders on the subject. We end up changing the culture rather quickly compared to other places in the world. So much so that I've heard of even like brigade kitchens in Europe that don't use maitre d's or sommeliers or chef de parties anymore. They have basically split those jobs into the responsibilities being handed into other jobs and therefore overworking those positions. Yay!
So something else Musa points out that escaped the first time around I didn't notice is that barristry is what he was accused of when he was expelled from Florence.
Okay.
Artistically, this grim burlesque is of great value as an interlude in the ever-deepening descent from horror to horror. But Dante also had personal reasons for letting his pen rip at this point, since an accusation of barristry was the pretext upon which he was banished from Florence.
Okay, that's the part I was like kind of questioning pretext, because I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that wasn't why he was. That like that may have been the excuse, but
Right. Of course. He wasn't about to accuse himself of a crime, I don't think.
What? Crazy puppy. The taste of what? My dog fucking hears the woodpecker outside and goes ape shit. I'm like, you're this tall. You can't get to the woodpecker way up there. You couldn't do it if you wanted to. You can't climb. But no. But more my point was, Dante was accused of that. That was the excuse given to the people after his banishment, essentially.
Right.
But his real reason as to why he was banished is actually worse than that. So it's why I'm like, well, let me rephrase that. Would have been worse than that in the eyes of the authorities. Let's put it that way. Because that really what he was guilty of was sedition.
Sure, yeah.
In my opinion, justified sedition, but that's a different conversation. We've already covered that very heavily when we went over the black and white gloves.
Right.
Yes, kids, there is such a thing as justified sedition, but if you fuck it up, doesn't matter if you were justified.
Yeah, of course.
Now, going back to the tangent aspect of it, the sixth bank I found interesting within this because like we've technically crossed more than 5 bodies of water. So I don't understand why he calls it the sixth bank when we've technically crossed 7 bodies of water at this point. It's something else I didn't quite understand, but it says it sixth in the Italian, by the way, so it's like it's not a mistranslation.
I don't know.
And I'm wondering if there's a significance there that I just was unable to find. Because Longfellow doesn't comment on it, Sayers doesn't comment on it, Chiardi doesn't comment on it. The only people who comment on that line are not commenting on the number of banks they're crossing. It's literally talking about like the juxtaposition that it's meaning to intend. Like it doesn't actually go any further as to why this number seems like a upa, out of place artifact within the story.
I'm sort of catching up on the footnotes, but both Musa and Sayers have something to say about line 7 or 7 and shortly thereafter. because he mentions the arsenal
Yeah, I'm scrolling back up so it's on screen as you're
at
talking about it.
Venice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Just says at Venice in the arsenal. Venice means Venice in the Middle Ages was a great sea power in the old arsenal, but in 1104 was one of the most important shipyards in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I kind of thought it was that way throughout the Middle Ages, but maybe not.
Um, okay. At certain points, yes. At certain points, no. What it always is, and I think this is where your confusion comes in. They were always a trading hub, but they were not always like the like powerhouse of shipwrights. So they were always a very, very powerful trading port town, but they weren't always producing ships.
The image of the busy shipyard with its activity revolving around a vat of viscous pitch establishes the tone for this canto and the next as one of tense, excited movement. Also, we once again see Dante imitating the action of his language, with the busy syntax reflecting the activity of the shipyard. So a lot of that sort of comical, like rapid movement that we were talking about comes from how busy Venice is at this point.
Well, yeah, but he's making it even more surreal by making it more than even what it is. Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Is he went from being a trireme is like 50 feet long, like 13, 14, maybe up to 20 feet wide. Like at the widest points, like not parts you would stand on, but like at gunnels and whatnot. Um, 4 people working on a ship that big would not be enough to make the rumble that he juxtaposes in the beginning of this. That's why I say he still makes it unreal. Like, Despy, you've been near a shipyard in Japan. I know this because I've seen where you live. How many people work on a small fishing trawler, which is about the same size?
Not many.
How many have you seen actually working on it when it's in dry dock? That's
Dry
when
dock? A lot?
yeah. That's when it's a beehive. Yeah, it's not 4 people anymore. It's not people just manning the rigging and bringing in fish. It's like 50, 60 fucking people working on that little ass boat trying to get it the fuck back in the water.
Yeah. This kind of if we're comparing this is like a skeleton crew working the job of like 100 people.
Yeah, and that's why I say that's why he makes it like that uncanny valley of unreal motion that would have been very, very real, unreal to 1300s, but even by the 15 and 1600s, we then have like some of the stereopticons, and then for us, fuck. I can't even tell you some of the craziest shit I've seen through optical illusion that's mechanical in nature, let alone CGI. Like, I mean, you know me, I love the magician shit. Like, fuck, the optical illusions those guys pull off is a whole different animal. Remember when Copperfield made the entire fucking Statue of Liberty disappear?
Mm-hmm.
What was that, fucking 30 million people watching that shit? All of us couldn't figure that crap out. it took that masked magician motherfucker coming out and explaining it like 10 years later.
So 2021 is continuing to explain that black pitch or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this is where the language itself sort of mirrors what's going on. Because except for the rising, boiling bubbles, is what he says, the repetition of B sounds and P's in the Italian audibly represents the bubbling, pulsing, bursting action of the boiling pitch.
Yeah, I can see that. Having been around boiling pitch, yeah, that does kind of sound like somebody trying to say a word that's nothing but P's and B's.
And talk about how Shakespeare does some of what Dante does. Like, he does it with rhyme, but, you know, the bubble, boiling, trouble. Wait, bubble, toil, and trouble. It's the B's and the T's that repeat in that one. But it's the same thing. It's like bubbles popping when they get to the surface.
Yes, and I can see that to a point. But I think, well, I can understand what he's talking about, and I'll scroll back up so that people can see what we're talking about. Um, I can see how that would be there in the Italian, the P's, the B's, like creating that. But I
Mm-hmm.
also, like, if I go back and look at the Italian, I'd have to go pull it up on the spreadsheet. Um, I have the sneaking suspicion it is more implication than sound that Dante was going for, even though this is a performed work, because of the way that this is punctuated. This would have been read rather quickly. It would not have like if he was trying to go for like boiling pitch sounds. Like, this motherfucker is not afraid to use a comma. Regardless of whether or not a comma belongs there to slow down a line. He doesn't do that here. So I don't think so, because like rapid boiling pitch
Why wouldn't it have to
doesn't,
be slow?
because rapid boiling pitch would start to sound like a hiss. It doesn't sound like it does when it's slow boiling, which is what they're describing, which is keeping bitumen glue pitch at a constant liquid temperature so that you could apply it very easily with like mops and stuff like that to the wood to seal cracks and whatnot. If you were to heat it up to where it's rapidly boiling, you're going to start getting a sizzle, and then it would be S's and Z's. It would hiss, it would sizzle, it wouldn't bubble and pop.
Keep in mind, this is a lot of repetition because you got to under the letter V also sounds like the letter B to our ears or whatever. It's that same sort of plosive sound.
Well, especially
So
in
I'm
Latin.
counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 uses of that plosive um, um, labial sound in just 2 lines. It's gonna be
Yeah,
la badea,
yeah, but
le
he does,
monda badea, and
but he
essa
does that in other
maestro de
tercets.
ola le baba. Like
No,
that's a
no,
lot of them.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying he does that at other points that have nothing to do with pitch or trying to elucidate a sound in that way. I'm not saying
Where?
that I'm back in, I think it's Canto
Okay, 8
7,
labial
8.
plosives in 2 lines.
It's not just that particular one, but yes, I'd have to go back and point it out later. But he does this at other points that are not about pitch. So if it's about sound that he's trying to elucidate, well, it could be those plosive sounds. Would it also not have to be the vowel secondary attachments that then give you the rise and peak within it, which I don't see here? Because you'd have to have peak and trough of the between the sounds
I
to
mean, all of
create
them
the
are followed
bubblings.
by all of them are followed uh, by vowels, although you would expect them to be, right? I mean,
Well, but I'm talking about, for example, you would expect these to be the longer A's, and well, you read it long the way you read it out.
right.
At least
I
what
was
I
obviously
yeah, you were emphasizing it, whereas you and I both know, especially Latin and Italian and Spanish, was spoken very quickly, and northern Italy even more so than southern Italy. So this would have been written to be pronounced by somebody who's used to performing in northern Italy, who's going to speak Italian rather rapidly. That's why I don't think it would have been slowed down enough to where it gives the implication that I think this person is giving it, due to our tendency to read and speak much slower in English. No, I think it's a juxtaposition of, because Musa is used to reading in English.
But even in line 20, even I would argue Longfellow, he puts 3 B's in that one line. I think potentially now for that reason. Now that he says this,
I mean, it's
hot
potential. I just don't know.
bubbles boiling raised.
No. Here's the thing. I could see it as possible. I just don't
Right.
know if. It seems like reading into it after the fact, like somebody did this in performance, as like they emphasized it, kind of like you did, and it ended up becoming
Yeah.
like built into the lore. The best way to describe it, the amalgamation lore, like I talk about with Lynch. It got built
I
into
think
the
it
story,
would
not
be
necessarily by Dante, but by the performer itself, trying to add extra to it.
it would be interesting to have a large language model like read the whole poem and then say how unusual it is to have this many labial plosives in 2 lines.
I mean, yeah, we need to
Is it
talk.
how unusual is it?
Well, we'd have to talk to somebody like Jeremy, because we would have to have somebody who has this personally installed, because this is too big to even plug it into a paid version of most of these stable diffusions.
Right.
And so like we'd have to talk to Jeremy, but it would be able to go through it probably an hour. Wouldn't take long once we get it
But I
in
mean,
there.
if you included palatal implosions, then you could add all the D's as well.
Despy, linguist guy, does that work? Because that part feels off to me, at least spoken in English specifically.
Do what now?
Adding the D's
Okay, so
because
if
of
you
the
look at the
way that
Italian, well,
the enunciations that we use within it, whereas within the Latin they are much more sharp with their D sound.
basically Musa is saying that the reason why in lines 19 and 20 there's 8 labial plosives,
Okay.
that he's trying to recreate the sound of the pitch, bubbles coming up from the pitch.
Yeah.
And it just occurred to me that if you include your palatal plosives, it gets to more like 10 or 11.
Yes, because the
I don't know.
D's, which is what I'm talking about,
I
the
think Moose is
troughs.
onto something. It makes sense to me.
I mean,
Well,
good.
it does, but the other thing is that you're gonna have to want to look at like culturally, like what onomatopoeias were they using during this time period to actually get the correct sound. So
Right.
Yeah,
like even if we think it may sound like that, it may be interpreted entirely different
yeah,
depending on that
because
Well,
like
I mean,
even
it never even occurred to me until Musa
well, no,
Moose's
and that's
notes.
what I said when you read it out. I was like, yeah, that could sound like it when I was going slower with it. But then
Yeah.
the rest of the context of they speak faster. This could be a juxtaposition built within the performances that came over the centuries since its writing. Since Dante, well, he wrote it to be performed, as far as I know, never performed it himself. I don't know if he ever actually like would have known this level of onomatopoeia application within his work, or if it cropped up
I
later.
always got the impression that it was meant to be read more than performed, but still, like
Uh, oh, it
that's
could be.
that's a
I
lot of
could
that's a
be
lot of labial
wrong,
plosives.
but at least the way I remember being taught, it was written to be performed, as most epics were at the time.
Oh, well, that would give more evidence to it. Then I should
Well,
think.
and that's why I instantly was like, yeah, that could work. But I think,
And then Moose's own translation,
hold on,
he
I'll
says,
actually look this part
"Boiling
up.
bubbles, breathing into air to burst." He puts 4 B's in a row there, or close to it in a row. Three B's in a row, followed by another B a couple words later. Boiling bubbles, breathing. Obviously, if he thinks that was intentional in the Italian, he would have put it into his own translation. So I can see that, like he's feeding into his own theory.
I'm just going to double check because maybe I was taught incorrectly. Northern Italian dialects.
I'm just gonna, even though ChatGPT is not particularly well set up for this, I'm gonna go ahead and ask it anyway, just to see. The following are lines.
Um.
Lines are this: 19 and 20.
Okay, at least according to what I'm seeing here, the northern Italian dialects of Venetian, Lombardy, Piedmontese, and Emilian, the average syntactical quirks in speech would have actually been far more rapid, more akin to Riviera French and Tuscan than was the slower Tuscan or Sicilian, averaging about 5 to 8 syllables per second in a lively speaker, and 12 to 15 per 3 seconds in a slow speaker. These are averages that are depicted by the spoken word poems that were written for performance during this time period, and the source for this. Damn it! Didn't finish the source. It gave the name of the book, but not the author. Yeah. I hate when it does this. It's like it was printed by the authors.
How many labial plosives did I say there were?
8.
8.
And this is Galomula and Mayana are the two scholars who are doing this, and they're basing that on the persistent of existing performance of these works, because apparently many of these medieval works have continued to be performed in these regions still to this day, like in continuous action. So,
Just about finished formulating my question.
I was just going based on speed, because at that speed,
I don't know if ChatGPT even knows Italian, but well, I guess we'll find out something.
I'm pretty sure it knows most languages. I'm even able to throw like when I write something in Xhosa, which Google Translate cannot translate for shit. And I intentionally do that to like fuck with Lethe or something like that.
Part of the answer is, I'll analyze this quantitatively by checking the frequency of labial plosives in these lines versus a control sample from the Inferno. And it's analyzing now, and it's taking its sweet time. So I guess it has access to the Inferno in Italian.
It probably has it in multiple languages. It's one of the most studied works in history, Rich.
So the average plosive count in the Inferno is 4. I guess per 2 lines.
Yeah.
I asked it to look at 2 lines.
Yeah, well, it's only going to base within what you tell it. You have to get into highly technical language to make it do multi-step like that. What we would need, but yeah. So it would have been averaging every 2 lines. So this is double the average, but that doesn't mean that there's not others that are similarly, labial plosive heavy.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. The concentration is notable. This suggests that the repetition of labial plosives may indeed be intentional. Would you like to compare this to a broader sample from the Inferno? Sure, why not?
Say not just the Inferno, whole comedy, because that would be the better thing.
I'm sure it'll ask me that next. But
what I would say is do a control when it comes back. I would say, please do a control sample of similar size to Paradiso and Purgatorio, and then compare the 3, because it may have been just a idiosyncrasy of his writing style too. And since I don't speak Italian, this is a much quicker way to do it.
Hold on a second. It said this was the plosive count was 4 in a sample of 213 characters, and my 2 lines were nowhere near 213 characters. Yeah, my 2 lines were 73 characters. So really, this is more like than 2
Sursets.
Yeah.
We'll have to dig into that later, because we'll have to because remember when you were wait a minute, hold on, I have an idea. Before you add in a different question, the little refresh button on GPT, go down and click it and hit O-3 on that same question. I'm opening it.
Well, it did give me an answer. it said in a larger Inferno sample, which is 826 characters, plosive count is 20,
Okay.
which it says is the same frequency as the earlier sample. I'm satisfied with that.
So yeah, I'm just gonna ask it a silly question right here so that you can see it real quick.
Or just, you can continue asking the questions I want, but I think I'm
No,
pretty satisfied.
I'm just
the larger
showing.
Inferno sample.
No, I'm showing you this. See these? 03. Click that. It goes into technical reasoning language. When you do that, instead of going into like you're doing GPT, which is a large language model, this is it trying to be a machine learning computer where it is going to go step by step technical, and you can go back and look through.
I don't think I see that. What is it? What's the shape of the symbol that?
Oh no! You go down to the refresh symbol, like you know how you can refresh an answer without having to type it again. In there, it will bring down a drop-down menu. It's the middle one. The top one is 4+. The bottom one is 3.5. Is O-3. Yeah, because what it will do is then it is going into step-by-step thinking, and you can click it and look through its reasoning, because it will reason and it will say, I have reasoned for 14 seconds, I have reasoned for 33 seconds, and you can literally follow step-by-step reasoning that it does, and see if it...
I clicked it, and the answer that it gave me was, it looks like the additional sample has no labial plosives at all. This reinforces the idea that frequency of these sounds is relatively uncommon, possibly deliberate.
Okay, see that one.
So the initial sample showed 0 plosive counts,
which I don't believe. So we're gonna have to double check this.
Well, it was
later.
a much smaller sample. It was 39 characters.
Yeah, but think about Latin. How can you get through even say say 3 sentences without using a single one? Like that would almost have to be intentional to avoid it at that point.
Yeah, maybe. But
that's why I'm saying. No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, but it would almost have to be intentional to avoid it. Not necessarily intentional, but like that's almost as uncommon as how frequent it is in this one compared to average like spoken language. Because obviously, everything that you do in a poem is intentional to a point. Certain of it will be within tercet cadence, certain of it will be within particular sounds due to performance, certain of it will be because the particular guttural way that we say a word in a particular language will elicit a particular response. For example, when people in English language say the word loathsome, because of the way that word comes out, even though we technically have words that are much more vitriolic and hateful towards a concept, loathsome will hit an American speaker much different than loathsome translated into, say, French.
Okay, you know the part where he says "Oh, Malabranch" in line 37?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to scroll back up.
Musa translates that to "Hey, Malabranch." Like that's funny.
Hey,
hey,
I swear to God.
It sounds so much less formal. Like it sounds, more conversational.
Well, but it's also it's also hey.
Yeah,
like
it's hey, H-E-Y.
What the fuck?
Hey, Malabranch. You might as well say yo, Malabranch.
Yeah, like this. I was watching Kevin Smith the other night when he was doing one of his live streams on Fat Man Beyond, and he has like a "Don't touch this" with fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle, and somebody made a joke in chat. Hey, Rocky, this thing's lit. And he did it in the boat. And he's just like, God, fucking shoot me now. Like, that's how that just felt when you're Dante. Malabranch. It's like, what the fuck?
You can go into this spreadsheet if you want, but here's the whole tercet. He shouted from our bridge, hey, Malabranch, here's one of our St. Zeta elders for you.
Oh, for fuck.
You stick him under, I'll go back for more.
I want to, like... Is Musa still alive? I want to contact him and be like, was he trolling us?
This is my favorite piece of translation in this whole thing so far. I'm gonna I don't know, put it in red or something.
No, honestly, go to suno.com, suno.com, make an account with your Google thing, put it in
Right.
there as a song and see what the AI creates a song out of it. Just that, like, see if it turns it into
Oh, right.
rap. Because it sounds like he's trying to with the way he worded it.
It does sound like that. Here, I just need a screenshot of it so I can send it to you guys. It's, I'm gonna put it inside chat.
Yeah, because that's fucking funny. That, like,
There it is. Oh, there it is.
oh my god, like, seriously, it does. It sounds like he's trying to fucking rap. Like, is Moose is
Or it
still
just
alive?
sounds
Like,
he's like, it just sounds like he's a greaser from like the 50s.
I mean, considering rap comes from Jamaican toasting, which is basically the African American equivalent of the greasers in the same
I
time
did
period.
exaggerate when I said yeah instead of you, but still, like that's how I heard it when I was reading.
I mean, but the thing is
Here's my Saint Zeta's elders for you.
But here's the thing: in the way that he started it off with "Hey," depending on who's reading this in like the syntax and like dialect of English, it might have come out as "yeah" anyway. So you're probably not off. It's not even just like a funny way to say it. People have probably read it that way in their fucking head.
We read Moose's translation in class back in the day. I'm surprised I don't remember us commenting on that.
Probably because you weren't talking to a bunch of fucking lunatics who would get this fucking anal retentive about language.
Oh, yeah. I was the only 30-year-old. Yeah, I was 30, and everyone else in my class was 18. So
yeah. Well, on top of that, like, let's just say you were in there with a bunch of 30-year-olds. How many 30-year-olds do you know that are this fucking like Jones to sit there and joke and talk about like the idiosyncrasies of antiquity language?
Oh, actually, they were. I went to a weird school. Like,
okay, fair enough.
like if we would sit around, at a keg party, standing around the keg, like trying to figure out who would beat who from the Iliad, in a fight. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, that's stuff that we did too, but like more it was. But we didn't talk about like. We didn't do the yo 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 Juliet on her balcony type rap silliness like that. Not unless we were really fucking drunk. Like, like that was not like our instinct naturally. Is kind of my point.
There's two things you'd have to know about the college I went to. One of them is that is that it was a small school, right? So everybody knew everybody.
And for those of you who have the hangover from last night who are here watching this, I'm sorry because we're not going to be quiet. This is just funny now.
The other one was. So one is that we were a small school, so everybody knew each other, and the other one is that the curriculum was designed such that everyone was taking the exact same class at the exact same time. In many cases, like for instance, everyone had the same, like first 2 years of English was always epic poetry for freshman year. Everyone collectively took the same midterms and the same finals, so no matter whose class you were in, you were going to get the same test.
I'm gonna go grab her. It's cold and she's just running around.
Yep.
So because of that, we all had, if I said something that happened in class, somebody else who had a totally different professor would know exactly what I'm talking about because they went over the same material on the same day.
Yeah.
It's like that. So everyone in school learned the exact same thing at the exact same time. And one of the ways that you could tell if somebody was a freshman was sort of famous in that class was that they were very excited to explain to you the allegory of the cave. Because they discovered it for the first time that day, and they were like, super psyched about it.
Okay.
So you'd be like, okay, you're a freshman. I get it. Everyone else was sick of the allegory of the cave by then, except for freshmen who were very excited about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun going to a school for nerds because most schools are not that way.
No, and I can understand that. I will say this. The first time somebody ever brought the allegory of the cave up to me, I was not familiar with it. But my initial reaction was the puddle parable. Do you not remember the puddle parable?
I do not know the puddle parable.
The guy who wrote
Or if
Hitchhiker's
I
Guide to
do,
the
it'll
Galaxy
come to
did
me
it.
when you tell me.
The guy from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy wrote it,
Oh,
or
right.
came up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. How the puddle was made just for me, and how as the water's evaporating, because this sentient puddle is this world is created perfect for me, just shaped just for me, and he was perfectly thinking that all the way until the time he dried up, and then he was quite
Yeah.
surprised. It's
That reminds me of C.S. Lewis when he talks about how in heaven even the blades of grass do not bend to your feet because it is you who have to adapt to the blades rather than the other way
yeah,
around.
and I can love C.S. Lewis for his writing, and absolutely despise that prick for his apologetics, because he fucking created more damage in this world than many others.
He
With
did
that,
say that one of the things that always stuck with me was that the woman that was grieving for her son or whatever, in order for her to enter heaven to be with her son, she had to love God more than her son.
I mean, that's scriptural, but that's yeah.
It is scriptural, absolutely. But it
Um,
always kind of stuck with me.
yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. But C.S. Lewis's teachings,
And it's a little heartbreaking because she chooses to go back to hell rather than agree to those terms, which
nope,
means she's choosing to be separated from her son for eternity.
nope,
So
that's not what that means. That's quite literally the job of a fucking actual just and loyal parent, to make sure that their child's life is better than theirs, regardless of the expense.
well, no, she could have been with him in heaven. No,
Oh,
she wanted to take him back to hell with her,
yeah,
and that was not an option. So she slinks off.
yes, because if she could not be with him, she wanted to be with him, or without him, loving him, knowing that he is in a good place, even though she has to
No.
suffer.
She wanted to pull him out of heaven and take her
Yes,
back to hell with her.
yes, I know, because to you, you don't understand that. Yes, you're thinking of hell as this great and unjust torment. You realize that the lake of fire and all that shit was added like later. Like we know that,
Well, it's
like
not a
the
lake of
original
fire. Hell is actually a
separate.
for in the Great Divorce. Hell is sort of a shadow realm. There's no lake of fire. There's no like divine torture. But everything, and you can have anything you want. You can have the most beautiful ornate house, all the great best food, anything, whatever. But none of it's real. It's all illusion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you go
But
back to the original
that's what hell.
soteriology of Christianity back in like the first through fourth century, you're talking about a time period where their concept of hell was just a separation from God. Nothing else. There
Yeah,
was no eternal torment. There was no
that,
fucking lake of
that's what he
fire.
explained.
There
Yeah,
was no demons.
right.
It was just God isn't here.
That's
Well, if
you're
that
almost
is,
quoting word for word the Great Divorce.
but what I'm trying to get at is, if that is your concept of hell, and there's many denominations who still have this concept of hell to this day.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's really
hell,
compulsive. This is straight out of RCA. What you're telling me.
yeah, kinda, but we still also teach the lake of fire. So like Catholics are weird. We won't go into that right
We
now.
are weird.
We won't go into that right now.
We only
We're literally
teach the lake
reading
of fire.
version of
We
Catholicism that
only
has
teach the lake of fire to the small children so that they stay Catholic.
Yes,
Okay?
I know. That's good. That's why I was like,
Well,
kind
there's
of.
also the cool. There's also the cool effect. Like it's just
Well, but
imagery
more my
is very
point is going back to what I was trying to get at, is if your soteriology is that hell is just a separation from God, the concept of being with your son for all eternity, and them being happy because they are reunited with their family, regardless of whether it is not in heaven or in hell, is a beneficial concept, because you're not dragging them to torment, you're not dragging them to some kind of like unnatural gruesome fate. So when C.S. Lewis then thinks about it like that, he is thinking about it in the more why are you whining? Quit it. But
Loud
he,
enough we can hear it.
yeah,
That's what you're talking about.
Fine,
Makes him
go.
very sad.
Go take the fucking Blue Jays.
Are you talking about hell again?
But he's
Is my
thinking about it
daddy,
in the actual torment style. And therefore, like, the woman taking this child away from God is a horrible action. Even your knee-jerk reaction was to think of it as such. Whereas to me, no, my child with that God is fucking horrified. I can't take him away from that God and keep him with me. Nah, I'd rather him be there, safe, knowing that he's there, and go off about myself rather than have to love that piece of shit more than my kid. Yeah, that is a just and moral decision.
My reaction wasn't what you characterized it as. I
Well,
think
just
his
knee jerked.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
no. I'm just saying his reaction is to say that not that she's a horrible, terrible person. It's that he feels great pity for her.
Yeah, I
That's what
I don't think he condemns
he
her in
makes
that
an
way,
example.
but he does condemn the fate as horrible. That's what I was pointing to, not that she was horrible.
Sure, yeah.
That's all I
What they're
was.
going back to is an illusion, right? That ultimately cannot fulfill you.
Yes, and what many of us who have graduated
What he
higher
would argue.
than freshman philosophy on the subject, we then
Wait. He didn't go higher than freshman philosophy?
no, I'm joking about us who talk about it now.
Okay.
What we
I was going to say, I was going to be very shocked.
no
Because he
no
was one of the Inklings.
no
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis, very highly educated. God, I lost my point.
Don't get me wrong. I think Tolkien was much greater than Lewis, but I do quite like.
But what I was going to get at is who have gone higher than freshman philosophy, then take this to a higher level of concept. He is condemning that fate to being worse. That the choice of giving up your love for your family for the love of this God is the moral option. That is what he is trying to imply, and what he's saying. The great pity
Though,
is that this woman
does
is too
overstate
weak to
it.
do so.
But I would say that it overstates it a touch because the commandment isn't to not love your child at all. It is to, and honestly, I get a hard time. I have a hard time wrapping my head around this one myself.
Even loving
But,
more is part of the problem.
Right. It's just, yeah. You love your children, but you love God more.
I mean, and I will
I don't
point
see
out
why. I don't see why loving them equally
you,
wouldn't be an option.
well, but I will point you to that lovely scripture that all Christians hate when I fucking bring it back up to them. You cannot follow me unless you hate your mother and your father and your sister and your family and your life. You literally
Okay.
have to hate
There's a
everyone
context to that
and
one that I
your.
don't want to get into because
I-
it'll literally take up the next hour.
I know, but that's my point. The harmonization, which we can get into later after stream, it is something that
Well, we
came
can't
much
keep it
later. Because if we go by the actual practices of the followers through the 1st and 4th century, this was a highly isolationist cult that used that exact scripture as the same exact fucking thing I'm saying it is used today. The only difference is now, because that is so psychologically traumatizing to the followers, we've softened it with the harmonization, which came in about the 4th century by your lovely friend Augustine.
I would complain about all of these distractions, except that they're all
They're
my
fun.
fault.
Well, and they're all fun.
I introduced each one of them, so I can't really complain.
Well, but it's also they're fun because while we can disagree about these things,
Yeah, sure.
you and I both agree more than likely most of the Bible's bullshit wasn't written by any of the people that said they said it is, and that while it can be a very great teaching tool, it is not like divine word.
I just want to say, I don't get to pick the next like 5 ones because I picked this one, but I wouldn't mind doing the Synoptic Gospel.
Well,
think that'd be a lot of fun.
well, like I said, we all kind of decided to do this, and I wouldn't mind doing the Synoptic Gospels, but we cannot kind of like just work our way through that. That one we're gonna have to have like all the papers and all that stuff. Like all of us are gonna have to do a bunch of extra work for that one because that is so much fucking work to do.
I have no right to expect you guys to agree to this. No,
oh no, we're doing the analectics next. But the thing is the Synoptic Gospels. Like honestly, if we were to do it right like this, is like 3 months worth of work. It's not like a year or 2 years. It's not like
I told you I took 4 years of Greek, but I devoted 1 semester to Koine, which was actually quite of a break because Koine is so much easier than every other foreign venture Greek. But the class I got was selected New Testament works or whatever, right? What I wanted, but I couldn't get it because it was a very popular class and I just couldn't get a seat in it, was the Synoptic Gospels translation. Like, to translate the Synoptic Gospels in Greek was like, that wasn't the main reason I joined. I joined because I wanted to translate Aristotle. But as far as Koine goes, that would have been my dream class. And I never got to have it, and it kind of stuck in my craw the whole time.
Yeah, and I can understand that.
Technically, I haven't graduated, so I could go back and take it. I'm a little bit old at this point, and I don't know any Greek anymore. So,
well, I mean, you know more than I do, and it's only because you could actually like transliterate and translate.
I know how to use an apparatus properly because I can, go to the Greek or whatever. But there's no way I could just pick up a piece of, the Gospels and just read it.
No, you wouldn't be able to fluently read it, but there is going to be certain things that you're going to recognize. That the only reason I am going to recognize it is because I am going to look at the Anglicanized word of it. Because reading Greek's a pain in the dick. If I read the Anglicanized Greek version of it, then I'm fine.
The transliterated. That's one thing that taking Greek did for me is I can see Greek and immediately transliterate it in my head. Like,
whereas I have to have the Anglicized.
I can transliterate it. Yeah.
And I can translate faster if I already have it transliterated because that's how I'm used to looking at it.
Yeah, totally. Whereas for me, transliterated Greek looks really weird.
Well, see,
the original Greek looks normal.
By the way, that still happens with me.
With Japanese, like when you see Japanese in
Romanji,
with the syllabary, does that make more sense, or does it make more sense?
No.
Transliterated into
no. As a matter of fact, if I don't have kanji, I'm completely lost. Because
Romanji is very different than kanji or katakana or hiragana. It just functions on different rules.
No, what I'm saying is like if you were to give me an entire text in Japanese that literally had no kanji in it whatsoever, I'd still be lost because the kanji gives you context to what like the meaning of the word is. So like even there's a lot of words like in essence the utterance show in Japanese has like 70 different kanji. So using it in a sentence and you're not necessarily 100% sure what the person is getting at, having that kanji there for that context clue makes a lot of sense.
Which is why we don't generally do Romanji anymore. We transliterate into English where that extra context is added because the Japanese, it's implied.
And the other thing is the Japanese have 4 different ways to write Romanji, and
I didn't know that part.
I'm not gonna lie. 3 of them are utterly twice-tarded. Let's put it that way.
Well, I didn't even know that part. I just knew Romanji was like different animal to everything else that you guys deal with.
It's like one of those things where you're trying to say like chew in Japanese, and they write like TYU instead of CHU instead, and like it's trust me, it gets really weird. And like I've seen it, I understand what it is, but it's extremely jarring and very difficult to read.
Yeah,
okay, I just dropped inside chat. That thing. It just occurred to me to look at the next column of translation, and it's also really funny, but for totally different reasons.
All I'm going to say is we need to do
what he did. Yeah, bridge ho, he bald. Hail our own hail raker ship. I think it's funny.
All I'm going to say is that what we need to do is we need to read this again, but we need to do this in kind of like voices of how we think this sounds by Musa.
Yeah.
I mean,
To do it that way
Well,
instead.
the top one with Musa. This next one was my girl. It was Sayers.
Yeah.
And she also had a creative translation for it. I wonder if she read Musa's silliness and decided she was going to outdo him.
Well, no, because if you then look at the Italian, it also has.
Oh no, it would have been the other way around. It would have been he read her and then outdid her.
Well, but the point is if you look at the Italian, it also has a similar musical cadence in this point. I think everybody was trying to give it that sing-song quality because that's how it was originally, and they changed it to fit how they could do it in their versions of English.
See, all we have to do
not
is
even sing-song. This is more like, I'm talking about Musa again. His is more like just sort of New Jersey, like, dude, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All we have to do is do a rereading of this, and we'll call it the Divine
Jerky Boy. No, the Divine Jerky Boys. We could break out all the jerky. No, that'd get us canceled the first time we said some of those fucking words. Never mind.
Hellraker ship is. Did she make that up?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Evolved.
I don't know what the word means, but I know I've seen it outside of Dante before, so I don't think Sayers made it up.
Hellraker ship? You've heard Hellraker ship?
I've seen the word. I don't know what it means though. Like I've just seen that word on a page before.
It's a raker, like a raker, but they're in hell, so it's a Hellraker, and it's a ship because they're going to use him to. They often use demons to get from one end of a bridge to another. And that's what they're doing here. Okay, I'm going to go to Google Ngram and look up. I was on a panel the other day, and I used Ngram on panel, and everyone thought it was just hilarious.
When I just typed it into Google, it didn't come up. I wonder why. I wonder if there's a hyphen in there usually.
Did you use Ngram?
No, I just went to quick Google because I was just trying to do it quick. Because, like I said, I didn't know what the word means, but I know I've seen it before. It's kind of.
So it makes me think. That makes me think she made it up.
Well, and maybe people have copied her since. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah. Hellraker ship. Okay, maybe just Hellraker then.
And then ship is added as a suffix to imply the
Hellraker's not in here, so maybe Raker ship? No. None of those.
Interesting. But it should show up in fucking Ngram because of all of the fucking copies of Sayers. Interesting. I wonder...
Raker ship did pull up Guardians of the Galaxy, which is really funny.
Well, but what I mean... Try Hell Space Raker hyphen ship.
Maybe I misspelled it. I'm going to try it one more time because it seems kind of ridiculous that... Yeah, no, nothing. But when I Googled it, I did get Raker ships pulled up some stuff.
What did Raker ships pull up? Because I've seen the word before, I just don't know what the fuck it is.
Oh, yeah, you know what? It changed the spelling in order to get a result.
What did you get?
Guardians of the Galaxy... Oh, there is... Raker ship isn't the Guardians of the Galaxy.
It changed mine to Hellraiser, so... My algorithm's fucked because of my love for fucking cheesy horror movies.
Interesting. A Cloud Raker ship. There's a Cloud Raker ship in the Infinity Wheel. I don't know what that is.
Well, at least you like the good cheesy horror stories.
I mean, Critters, Hellraiser, Pumpkinhead. Oh, if you've never
Tremors.
No, Tremors is not horror. Anybody who thinks Tremors is horror has misunderstood the horror genre. It is a creature feature. It's very different. It's a whole different genre, and Tremors is the lead of the creature feature film.
Candyman?
Yeah, Candyman's pretty good.
Okay, ChatGPT also says that it's from Hellraiser, although it's only guessing that it is.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
wonder if that makes. I mean, I wonder if they pulled it from Dante, or if they specifically pulled it from that translation. Because, yeah.
Well, the other thing is like I said, it could quite be just one of those things where it has proliferated either just before Sayers or from Sayers. And that's why I've seen it, but I don't know what the fuck it is because it's one of those made up words.
Okay, according to this, a raker was a ship positioned to fire raking shots along the length of an enemy vessel. So if
That
you're
makes sense.
shooting a vessel lengthwise, it's going to go through all of the deck, like multiple points. So you're
Yeah.
raking the ship. I
Yeah.
can see that being a hellish thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just didn't know what the fuck it meant. It's like there's a what was that other word that I ran
Or
across
there's
this
a
with?
rake of the masts. A raker might refer to a ship with a sharply
Like
raked
I forget the
mast.
word now, but I tried looking it up in like antiquated like dictionaries and stuff like this. It's in a book. Like I was looking at the word and it just so fucking weird. I cannot find this word anywhere. And everyone's like, "Oh, the writer just made it up." I'm like, "Okay, but it's not a word that is like made up about a thing or a place. It's not like it is just a carrier word of a verb. But if you have no other reference point, how the hell does that verb then make sense if it's not based on? I'm sure it's based on some word that he saw that he probably spelled slightly different, something like that. But it's like there's words like that that you can't find. There's the
Well,
dictionary
Hellraker
will
ship
definitely.
is just so. Actually, she just kind of departed entirely from the text here because uh, Hellraker ship is what she says for Malebranche.
Uh huh.
Maybe Malebranche has some meaning in the original, whatever language it was pulled from, and that's the literal meaning of Malebranche. Maybe.
Mm, Malabranche. I mean, no, because I mean, its root is Latin. It would
Oh, there's a
be
Catholic priest named Malebranche.
well, yeah,
What a
because
terrible coincidence for him. Like he
uh,
must have gotten shit about that being named after a demon.
Ramus, Claudius, no, not Branch.
What does Malebranche?
Interestingly enough, he works in exorcisms.
Yeah,
It seems like ill
it,
arm
it
or
literally means
evil
evil
arm.
branch.
Yeah, which would be
It means,
well, because that would
I
be
wonder if that's
context
where she
specific.
gets rake from, because you could make a rake out of a branch. Like a branch is
Well, but
kind
it's
of rakes.
also like you'd also have to go based on context of the way that it be viewed. It'd be evil branch or bad branch, ailing branch, but it would branch in this context would probably refer to the arm based on the way that it has the e at the end. It
And an
would be
arm has 5 fingers at the end, which is kind of like a rake,
yeah. Yeah, so and with the way that we understand how the language and linguistics form up from these kind of like perceptualizations and conceptualizations, that is likely what it means. Is it's the equivalent of calling some like to old western, Jimmy Evil Arm fucking Kennedy type shit.
Yeah,
It's that type thing.
interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
because
So
when
the
we go
reason
back
why she
to
would
oh, go
attach
ahead.
branch to that would be the similarity between, I mean, rake to that is the similarity between a branch and a rake.
Well, and rake is also a word that was originally meant to mean arm, and I think that's Frankish is where that one comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that would make sense
And
to me
hell,
too.
because they're in hell, that part's easy.
Actually,
Ship,
Frankish may not be right, but I know it comes from rake comes from a different language than Latin.
sort of like how we translate American Indian names, right?
Yeah, First Nations peoples, yeah. we try not to use that word anymore, Rich.
No, we tried not to. No, no, no. I was corrected. I was speaking to somebody who was from one of the tribes, and he
Yeah,
referred to himself that way. And I said, "Why do you call yourselves that?" After all, I thought that was an offensive term or whatever. And he said, no. He said that's how we keep our legal rights because if we call ourselves something else, that then we could potentially like not be
so,
given the rights
yeah,
to
yeah.
use the same.
So the rights that they are required or that they are entitled to is conditional on them subjecting themselves to a slur that was created. Yeah, that's not a good thing. And just because he says that,
he said, "Please refer to us this way because we want to keep."
Yeah, and I've had many other First Nations people have a very. Most of them don't even like that I say First Nations. They prefer Native American. I say First Nations because it refers to all of the Native American tribes in Canada, North America, United States and Mexico, because that's how far these cultures spanned in many cases.
I made all of those same arguments. But
and for him, I'd be like, I'll respect it with you, but I hope you understand. I'm going to continue saying this for everyone else unless they ask me to do the same for them.
Yeah, he just wanted it so that common usage shifts wouldn't rob him of his rights eventually one day.
Yeah, because that's a fear that we have put into an oppressed people that we've fucked over and stolen rights from. Realistic fear,
though. Like, I can see this administration saying exactly that. Oh man, they don't even call themselves that anymore.
I mean, we don't even need to get into that part because
hey, you know something? I wouldn't be surprised if they used the I term for them and say that that's the new legal term for them.
Despy, no, you're that part hasn't happened yet, but that dickhead, that dickhead from Oklahoma, didn't just use the I word; he used the INJ version of it. In Congress. Yes. Yeah.
I
wouldn't be surprised if that actually became the term that they used.
Keep in mind, 30% of my students, and now it's getting closer to 40% of my students are from India, so they object to the term for an entirely different reason, and as you can imagine.
And for
they're not us, like we're different.
There is only one place in the Americas where it is appropriate to call anyone Indian, and that's the West Indies, because that is quite literally what they were named for fucking 285 fucking years for an entire group of islands in the Caribbean. Like, that's the only place that this is appropriate. And do you know why it's appropriate? Because, well, not appropriate because of how they got there, but they're there. Because the British brought Indian people there from India.
Right, yeah, listen, for a long time, I was really confused as to why I grew up eating curry. And it's because there's so many Indians in South Africa.
Oh, yeah. Second, I think it's the second most populous of Indian descent people in Africa. After that, the first is Uganda, and this comes from the rail line. The rail line constructions.
Yeah, could easily be. But I know my mom told me that's one of the things that made growing up pretty great was all of the Indian food in South Africa.
Like,
although she couldn't cook curry for shit.
Yeah. Fair enough. But all of us will remember this movie, I hope. Ghost in the Darkness?
Yep.
Yeah, that is a
fantastic movie.
That is one of the most realistic that kind of shows the fucked up way the British treated the Indian people that were running the railway. But it also shows, like, this was something that they were basically, like, mass exporting labor to Africa. And if you follow the British rail line, you can follow the Indian population through Africa almost pretty exclusively.
Wait, there was a rail line from India to South Africa?
No. British ruled India. They also ruled many countries in Africa. They would force migrate Indians to work on the rail line in Africa and then leave them there. Abandon them there.
Was that they came by rail. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
No, they were there. They built the fucking rail.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
sure. And we've been talking lately in my classes about how the Chinese built the railroads here, and then we didn't want to keep making.
Okay, this is a slight misnomer and myth. It is the Irish and Chinese, but other than that, yes.
No, well, no, not in the South. In the South, it was predominantly black.
Well,
Yeah, we all those of us who watched what is it? Hell's whatever the you don't know what I'm talking about, the Western
Yeah.
about the they were in most of the show takes place with the on the Western half, but it was all about making them meet. And when they met, it was black people like heading west and Chinese heading east in the show, in the context of the show. And there were some Irish people in there, come to think of it.
yes.
And when they met, yeah, it was a clash of cultures.
Well, because
Yep.
this is at this
In the
particular,
show.
but well, for the show, yes, but in history, this is also a time
O'Brien
period.
was in it, and he was amazing.
Yeah, very true. But I will. But like people forget this point in history, and it's one that like I hate bringing up most of the time because like people are like, "Oh, you're trying to no, just we also had a shitty fucking ticket to wasn't the same as chattel slavery, but at this time the Chinese, Irish, and Italians were essentially slaves, much like the African Americans were in most of the country." Like this, it wasn't exactly the same as chattel slavery, but like this was forced labor, indentured servitude at gunpoint, like this very little difference as far as like their choices in the matter. And like people forget this, and you get the myth of the Chinese because part of that is propaganda we started spreading in the 1920s that the Chinese government were forcing the Chinese people here to do this, and that this was a way that the Chinese government was profiteering, and that wasn't the case. And Despy can point this out from the Japanese history. Lots of Singaporean, Korean, and Japanese people were more than happy to go take little fishing boats and send them off to far off places for money.
Okay, line 37. I found it. I found an explanation for Hellraker ship in the. I should have looked. It was. Hold on, let me insert it so I can read it. It was. Malebranche literally means evil claws, which I have rendered Hellrakers.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
that's really-
I said evil hand, evil arms, the same difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of my point. Is like I knew it was gonna basically be that fucking nicknaming style because that's 90% of Latin names have that portion of like portmanteau like style of configuration. Now that we got
So
past
this is that means it is an invention of hers.
well, it means it's I wouldn't say it's a necessary invention, but I would say it is a transliteration of that concept from Latin into English, because it is essentially like continuing that into English, but not making.
She said, okay, so I guess she added the word because she even says here that I have rendered it Hellrakers, but in the text she actually says Hellraker ship, which makes me guess that she just needs it for the meter. She needed an extra syllable, so she just added ship to the end.
Well, and that would add a intent. What's the correct term in linguistics? Intentive possessive, where it brings it to like the personage of the person by adding the ship to it, as opposed to like a abstract concept. So it also like changes the intent
Oh, it
of the
could be
word.
Hellraker ship, like leadership. Like it does not literally mean a ship, right?
Yep.
It's just
Yeah, exactly. It ties it to a person, to an individual, to a position, as opposed to a abstract concept. Yeah.
it is nevertheless creative, and I like to think that that Musa read that and then said, "Hold my beer."
Well, let's be honest. Musa said, "Hold my beer." He grabbed two more in most of his translation.
Yeah. I told you at the beginning, Musa is my favorite translation, even though Sayers is my favorite apparatus.
Well, here's the
Like
thing.
that's
Musa, I still don't like Musa.
I forgot how great he was.
Just like I don't like Chiardi, and I fucking hate Mendelberg. Mendelbaum's translation is fucking awful. God damn.
I'll take your word on that one.
Don't add it.
Now we've been doing this long enough now to where you can see why I'm slightly annoyed by Longfellow.
Well, here's
Right.
the thing. Longfellow, the reason I chose it, and I said this at the first
He's
week,
genius. I don't. I'm not saying he's not a genius.
that's not why I chose him, although that's true. The reason I chose him is before we got started, I went around and I sampled 20 school syllabus on literature and included Dante from each state. I then picked the translation that was included on that those syllabi the most, so that I was getting
Right.
the average from around the country of what the average college student would end up having to read in class. That's the only reason I picked Longfellow.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I
Like,
know that he's
Musa or
he's also
Mendelbaum,
free, right? He's out of copyright, so that
well,
that's a
so
big
so
part.
so is Musa and Mendelbaum to a point.
Moose's still in copyright, surely.
He's in copyright, but because of the way that he is referenced, many of his works have been released for free by free presses and stuff like that. So it's out of copyright because they release it for free.
Okay.
That
But
being
if
said,
you want to be totally safe, you're going to go to somebody who's like pre-1920s.
I just, like I said, I literally just, my whole intent was not about legality. It was about what are they going to read in class and what, therefore,
No one's going to.
what can we help them with?
Audience.
Well, but the thing is we do. It's not a big audience. They don't watch us live. But on average, over a month or so after the video comes out, we get about 50 views, averaging about an hour and a half to 2 hours of watch time each.
Okay.
So it's not enough to where it would ever help us get monetized or anything like that, but somebody's watching it and hopefully it's helping them. And I thank you for being here.
I mean, our educational value, like maybe we talk about the text maybe 30% of the time.
Most weeks we're better than we are today. Normally we have Ancom to wrangle us back into line.
That's good. And when we have,
it's been a few weeks, so that we're also like out of the habit.
And we're catching up with each other too. And so.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. But going back to the text, I will back up. Quit barking, you silly puppy! You can't get the damn bird. Well, let me make sure there's not somebody in the fucking yard. Cat, you're barking at the cat in the door. Get over. This dog's gonna make me drink. I swear to God. She is sitting on the back porch.
You're scaring me about getting my own puppy.
Well, no, this you don't have cats, so this one won't at least be your problem. She is standing on the back porch, looking at the sliding glass door into the dining room, barking at the cat. I'm like, just come inside. You can play with the fucking cat.
Oh, I got a new video of the puppies.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's in Legion so that Lethe can see it too. He likes seeing the pup. And he doesn't check our VC side chat as often because he's not in here as often.
Right. Yeah. It'd be out of context.
That being said, with the same fury and with the same uproar, as dogs leap out upon the mendicant, who on sudden begs where'er he stops. They issue from beneath the little bridge, and turned against him all their grappling irons, and he cried out, "Be none of you malignant. Before those hooks of yours lay hold of me, let one of you step forward, who may hear me, and then take counsel as to grappling me." They all cried out, "Let Malakato go." Whereat one started and the rest stood still, and he came to him, saying, "What avails it? Thinkest thou, Malakato, to behold me advanced into the place my master said, save hitherto from all your skill of fence, without the will divine of fate auspicious? Let me go in, for its heaven is willed that I another show the savage road." Okay, so again they face an obstacle, and again Virgil is the Mary Sue kicking something out of the way with a couple of choice words. At least we get to hear him this time, as opposed to him walking off and leaving Dante at the kitty table. Sorry, that part annoyed me when he did that twice in a row. It was like, motherfucker. Like, I don't, because the other thing is, I don't know why Dante did that. Like, why is it that what Virgil said to those two demons, or that demon and that angel, was something that Dante couldn't hear?
Okay, it's sent.
Awesome.
My little hell.
Yeah, mine's outside right now, barking. Like, one time she got barking to the point, because I have kids on one side and a dog on, like, every side except for where the kids are. So, like, she'll go outside and she barks to get her little friend out back, and barks to her friend to the right, barks to the friend in the corner. She barked herself first. She came in just going, oh, oh, she's like trying to bark. And I'm like, that's what you get, you little fucker. You quit yelling at people all the time. But
do you remember that last picture where like Panda looks like twice the size of the other dog?
Yeah, they'll catch up.
Either they have caught up or it was an optical illusion or whatever. But he still looks like he's the biggest dog, but it's not quite as.
Well, the thing is they have roughly the same genetic components. Once they get weaned, then it is a component of like eating. Most people, when feeding puppies, end up overfeeding puppies, so everybody ends up being able to catch up after they get off the teat, because at the teat there's finite space, and it causes more problems. It just is what it is when you're dealing with pups. That's why you end up getting a runt and a fucking big one, regardless of genetic variants. Especially if they are completely fucking tit-fed until they wean themselves, which, God, the last time I saw somebody self-wean puppies, it was like 6 months. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, that's, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, honestly. Like, I've never had breeders who did that. This was just like somebody whose dog got out, like, wasn't fixed, type thing. I've never seen breeders let the weaning process go on for that long, so I don't know if it's good or bad.
So these dogs weaned pretty early. Like it seems like I could have picked them up in the 4th week or almost maybe 5th, because they weren't feeding off mama anymore. They were all on solid food. If anything, she was kind of avoiding them.
Sometimes that happens, but you can't know that till it happens. Is the problem.
Yeah. But now, as it is, spring break starts in their 8th week, and if I was gonna go to Louisiana, I was gonna wait and then on the way back pick them up. But now I might pick them up on the way down if I think they're already weaned, like and then Maddie can play with them or whatever. She's got a dog too, so they'd be could be friends or whatever. I don't know. But then again, it's a pretty long trip, comparatively speaking. Like if I pick them up on the way back, they'll only have to be in the car for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
As opposed to a 6-hour drive, which might be a bit much.
You're crazy, puppy. I know. Come on. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember how small she was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. No more. Oh, you're mean. Stop it. Okay. So, part of the thing that I lay here that it's almost funny that when we looked up Hellraiser ship, that Google auto corrected it for me to Hellraiser. Because like as we went further into this particular Canto, that's kind of where we got, was to some Cenobite level fucking shit about to happen to this dude. Like he's he's about to be grappling hooked, and he's like, before you do it, hold on, let's talk about this. I will say that it is. Stop. Go lay down. Silly dog. Okay, so I will say this, that like as we like digging through this particular part of the canto, there is a interesting there's an interesting cadence to the way that Longfellow did it, and what I remember seeing in the Italian. That to me, this feels almost like it's kind of why I've been reading it the way I have. It feels like more like the declaration part, like they're starting the third act, to put theater, like Puck at the beginning of the third act of Midsummer's.
Right.
Uh, that's kind of what this area feels like. So I've not been doing a good job because I didn't practice enough.
Well,
But
also like when I think of that play, I think of masks, right? And in line 48, it mentions like a sacred face, which would be like the face of Christ. But the note, Sayer's note, mentions that there's an ancient wooden figure of Christ revered at Lucca. Lucca keeps popping up and invoked at the time of need. So he's getting all of his like cultural touchstones from Lucca.
well, yeah, but sacred face, we
Yeah.
could be interpreting more into that because of modern concepts of Christianity. But remember, when we were dealing with the first couple of cantos, when we ended up having to give Despy his due of calling out the intercession line, um, that sacred face could have just as easily been Mary. So something to consider in this. Because that is something else that he has alluded to over and over and over again up to this point as Mary and Beatrice and what's her name, the one in the middle. I can't fucking remember it right now.
Okay, so hold
Lucia.
on.
Lucia.
Let me go back.
Lucia?
He flung
Yeah.
it in from the fake. Know how to unleash the chase the thief could have taken with greater speed than he. So that's masculine. And the sinner plunged and then floated up and stretched out. The devils underneath the bridge all shouted, "You shouldn't imitate the holy face."
Yeah, but the holy, that's what I mean. The holy face doesn't have the he at, and anybody can attempt to imitate the holy face when you're talking about like actions in that
Yeah, but
way.
it's the holy face, not a holy face, right? So that implies the holiest you can get, which
But
I
that
don't think you can get any higher
I
than.
think they call them all the holy face. Like it just ends up being the holy face of Mary, the holy face of God. Like they just say, I think they all end up
Right.
being the. That's kind of my
There's a
point.
difference between. It's sort of like share. You don't need to use the last name. It's like if you say the holy face, then you go right to the holy face.
I think
But if
this
it's
this
Mary,
might
then
be
you would say the holy face of Mary.
I think this is something we might need ANCOM for to check the Italian
Well,
specifically to see.
Mhm. It just
it-
says Il Santo Volto, which literally means the holy face, and
Well,
everything capitalized.
yeah, and the other thing is the reason I say this is within the Latin, and the only thing that we could then say would be if it's masculine or feminine version of the wording, which
Well, it's Santo Volto, so that would be masculine.
okay, so I mean, yeah, I guess we can go based on that then. Um, maybe personally, I would not assume it, considering how far Dante constantly brings up Beatrice, Lucia, Mary, and Jesus.
Oh yeah, Dante is definitely not a misogynist or anything, but I'm just saying in this instance, I think.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. But the thing is there's also a juxtaposition of a different male in there, and it doesn't have to be the holy face. It's one of those things. It's weird. And yes, Ancom would help with this slightly, but what?
Yeah.
What do you want, you needy dog? Go lay down. Oh.
All right, I'm gonna have to start getting ready. I'll be leaving soon. But
I
keep
need
talking.
I need to go to bed in about 30 minutes.
I mean, maybe we don't have to finish the canto this time around. Like we can just finish it next time.
Yeah,
I don't want to rush if we're running out of time.
I mean,
And also, we can catch up with Ancom next time.
we're also not that far from the end. Like I
Okay.
forget if I'm lined up right because I know I'm not lined up right. So 81, let's see, 84, 80. So we just ended on 84 is the last line I read, and I think it goes to like 130. So I mean, we're more than halfway through.
Okay.
But
But I literally, I'll be in the car in 10 minutes. So
yeah, I mean, I guess we could do this
it's
in
okay.
part
It's fine.
one
You
and
don't
part
need to
two.
eat.
Well, no, but I guess we could do this in part one and part two because the other thing is Ancom Joining would actually help out a lot. And
Yeah, there's several points at which we could have used Ancom. Sure.
yeah, and honestly, it might be beneficial because we are getting into like Caprona and a few other things, which you and I know some of the history of Northern Italy again, but we're gonna also have to like dig into the implications and all that stuff. So yeah, that could work. We can call it here and then just bullshit for a while. And until next week when we pick up part 2 on Canto 21, have a good one.
Come on, step right in. We got space for the real. Come shed your skin. Leave the small minds behind. This place is for you. We got fucking fire. Let's burn right through. You're one of us. Don't play it soft. This city's dripping heat and we go off. Ain't no limits. You fit right in. Come taste the pulse. Let it sink in your skin. Out here, it's real. No fake ass game. No need to hide. Ain't no goddamn shame. We don't blink, don't care for rules. This city's alive and it's breaking all the fools. You got the spark, you got the soul. Come ride the vibe, we'll make you whole. Come on, step in, we're waiting for you. Ain't no limit to the shit you can do. City's got grit, city's got soul. Welcome my friend, you're about to take control. Leave them behind, you belong here. The city's a gold mine. We don't care where you're from, fuck all that noise. We deal in truth, and we ain't playing with toys. You want freedom, you're in the right place. We speak in flames, and we wear no mask on our face. No judgment, no walls, you're free as can be. This city's your playground, come feel the energy. You're one of us, no need to pretend. Come and taste it, the city will be your best friend. Come on, step in, we're waiting for you. Ain't no limit to the shit you can do. City's got grit, city's got soul. Welcome my friend, you're about to take control. Feel that pulse, it's pounding hard. This city's a beast and it ain't got no guard. You're home now, fuck the fear. The city's alive and it's keeping you near. Let go, feel it in your blood. This place is raw and it'll drown you in love. Step in closer, let the lights pull you in. City's a beast, it'll swallow your sin. Here we live without care or shame. You're one of the wild, we're all the same. Leave the past behind, ain't no chains. This city's a storm, we live in the rains. Come feel the rush, we're boundless here. You're fucking free, no judgment, no fear. Come on, step in, we're waiting for you. Ain't no limit to the shit you can do. City's got grit, city's got soul. Welcome my friend, you're about to take control. You're home now, don't look back. The city's got your soul, it's right on track. Feel the beat, feel it pulse inside. This city's yours, now you ride the tide. Now you ride the tide. Yeah, the city's alive. Come on, sometimes I'm in. It's for the real. Come, shed your skin. Let all minds behind this place is for you. We got fucking fire. Let's burn right through. You're one of us, don't play it soft.
This city's dripping heat and we go off, ain't no limits. You fit right in, come taste the pulse, let it sink in your skin. Out here it's real, no fake ass game, no need to hide, ain't no goddamn shame. We don't blink, don't care for rules. This city's alive and it's breaking all the fools. You got the spark, you got that soul, come ride the vibe, we'll make you whole. Come on, step in, we're waiting for you. Ain't no limit to the shit you can do. City's got grit, city's got soul. Welcome my friend, you're about to take control. Fuck those narrow minds, leave them behind. You belong here, this city's a gold mine. We don't care where you're from, fuck all that noise. We deal in truth and we ain't playing with toys. You want freedom? You're in the right place. We speak in flames and we wear no mask on our face. No judgment, no walls, you're free as can be. This city's your playground, come feel the energy. You're one of us, no need to pretend. Come and taste it, this city'll be your best friend. Come on, step in, we're waiting for you. Ain't no limit to the shit you can do. City's got grit, city's got soul. Welcome my friend, you're about to take control. City's alive, come on, step downside in. Bumping fire, let's burn right through. Yo, that pulse is pounding hard. This city's a beast and it ain't got no guard. You're home now, fuck the fear. The city's alive and it's keeping you near. Let go, feel it in your blood. This place is raw and it'll drown you in love. Step in closer, let the lights pull you in. City's a beast and it will swallow your sin. Here we live without care or shame. You're one of the wild, we're all the same. Leave the past behind, ain't no chains. This city's a storm, we live in the rains. Come feel the rush, we're boundless here. You're fucking free, no judgment, no fear. Come on, step in, we're waiting for you. Ain't no limit to the shit you can do. City's got grit, city's got soul. Welcome my friend, you're about to take control. You're home now, don't look back. The city's got your soul, it's right on track. Feel the beat, feel it pulse inside. This city's yours, now you ride the tide. Yeah, you're home now, don't look back. The city's got your soul, it's right on track. Feel the beat, feel it pulse inside. This city's yours, now you ride the tide.
Where shit gets real. Captain City is crew, a pack of steel. No monkey in a round, we're all ready to brawl. Space fucking monkeys taking it all. Split seas twitching, yeah, he's wired as hell. But that he's got the goods, he rings the death bell. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going in shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Coarse fist, hard as flint steel. He'll crush your skull, then ask how you feel. Spider's a badass with sights locked tight. He'll take your ass out before the blink of light. Nebula's out there playing mindfuck games, but Simeon's crew, they'll burn his whole name. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Hey, throw the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Black holes suck, but these apes don't give a fuck. They just press their luck. Dante splits is glitching like a goddamn boss. Running tech so slick, you won't know you're lost. Versus two's a fucking joke, Nebula is a bitch. But when Simeon's done, they'll be left in a ditch. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew keeping it a buck. Apes, roll the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Shaolin is the monk, a bitch, kicking and flicking her staff around. Singing, drooling like a frat boy, dribbling out the sounds. The crew all fucking round, roll the universe like a mark. Nebula can't track the queen, he is kept in the dark. Swinging through the stars, fast as fuck. Captain Simeon and his crew don't give a fuck. Apes, roll the fuck out, it's time to ride. Going ape shit on the cosmos, tearing up the sky. Here's to the crew that fucks it all up. That gets all the girls and rocks all the world. Smashing through space without giving a fuck. Simeon's the king, his crew's got the crown. Hey, throw the fuck out, gonna burn it all down. Ha-ha. Well, the earth was hot and the oceans wide. The lightning struck and the molecules fried. Methane, ammonia, and water in the air, creating organic soup with plenty to spare. Oh, hey, biogenesis, let's break it down. From lifeless soup to life we found. With chemistry, ticket, and time to spare, life started building right out of thin air. Cyanide, formaldehyde coming on through. Reactions bubbling, making something new. Amino acids, they're the star of the show. Glycine, alanine, they start to grow. Oh, hey, biogenesis, let's break it down. From lifeless soup to a life we found. With chemistry, ticket, and time to spare, life started building right out of thin air. Now peptides forming acids linking tight. Through dry cycling, they do it right. Chains get longer, proteins align. Polymers growing in the clay and brine. Then came the RNA, folding in style, copying itself with a big old smile. Adenine, cytosine, they made the call. Uracil and guanine, linking them all. Oh, hey, biogenesis, let's break it down. From lifeless soup to a life we found. With chemistry, ticket, and time to spare, life started building right out of thin air. Now lipids in the ocean start to play, forming little bubbles in a lipid array. Micelles and vesicles close and tight, making protocells in the brightening light. Metabolism starts with a simple spin. ATP forms as energy kicks right in. Protocells dividing, evolution ignites. Life's first steps on a road to new heights. Now peptides fold and cells emerge. The boundary between life and chemistry surges. From simple reactions to systems so grand, abiogenesis took its stand. Oh, abiogenesis, we figured it out. How molecules danced and life came about. With energy flowing and time on its side, life truly began and it can't be denied. Now peptides fold and cells emerge. The boundary between life and chemistry surges. From simple reactions to systems so grand, abiogenesis took its stand. Oh, abiogenesis, we figured it out. How molecules danced and life came about. With energy flowing and time on its side, life truly began and it can't be denied.